Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto is sealed in the moon fairy tale Sasuke bashing. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by CumsterX and link in the description and support writer. Let's start the video. Well, let's start the story, shall we? As they were teleported into another dimension, the atmosphere got hotter and they could feel their sweat dripping more ferociously. Entering this dimension, one could tell that the respect element was fire. Kaguya brought them to a land with lava and volcanoes. Naruto and Sasuke knew that Kaguya influenced this dimension with her fire release. Be on your guards guys, she will keep changing the dimension, so don't gaze at the environment too hard, said their old sensei. Kakashi now had both Sharingans implanted and gifted to him by Obito. After his sacrifice to save Naruto and Sasuke in the sand dimension, Obito gave Kakashi his last remaining eye. Sasuke, let's end this soon. If we let her get too comfortable she most definitely will kill us, said Asura's reincarnate. Naruto, look at her breathing. She is getting exhausted from straining her chakra too much, since this is the first time she has used it this much in a while, replied Sasuke. If we are ending this, we have to end it with all we got. You took my chakra, you boys think I am running out? I will show you. Screamed Kaguya. As soon as she finished her sentence, Team 7 could feel the air getting thicker. She was transforming into her rabbit form to end it for good. Kaguya opened her mouth and was gathering chakra. It looked like she was creating a tailed beast bomb and was going to blast it at them. Kakashi grabbed Naruto and Sasuke back before the blast hit them. Boom. The blast created a large crater where they were just standing. Let me handle this while you two gather energy to fight again, Kakashi said as blue particles started surrounding his body. He started floating into the sky as the blue particles started to connect. Flashback. Standing in the sand desert dimension that Kaguya created stood Obito and Team 7. Kaguya sent sand spikes flying towards Naruto and Sasuke with the intent to kill them. With Naruto and Sasuke stuck from the sand and could not move from the gravity, the spikes were closing in fast. Both Kakashi and Sakura couldn't move as the gravity was pushing them down into the sand. As the spikes were drawing closer, Obito jumped in front of them and took the spikes, sacrificing himself for the two. Obito, no! Screamed Kakashi as he crawled to Obito's fading body. My body just flew in front of them. It just moved on its own. Cough, I guess this is a way for me to seek justice after what I have caused. You know Kakashi, when I saw you in the forest that one day with your hand through Rin's chest, cough, I lost myself in the darkness. At the time, I guess I was influenced by Black Zetsu, explained Obito. But after learning that Rin held the three tails, I knew that she told you to do it. I always knew that you would never hurt Rin, but I was too far gone, continued Obito. Kakashi, I'm sorry for causing all this pain, you need to help these kids. You are their sensei after all. Obito finished as he grabbed his last remaining eye and infused it into Kakashi's right eye. As Kakashi opened his right eye, now activated with his Manjutsu Sharingan, he saw that Obito's body was now fading. Flashback end. Thank you, Obito. Give my regards to Minato-sensei and Rin for me, whispered Kakashi. Sasuke knew that Kakashi was using a Susanoo and trust Kakashi to handle this. What surprised Sasuke was the fact that once it was finished, Kakashi revealed that it was a perfect Susanoo. The armor encasing Kakashi had legs, arms, and a body. This was a complete Susanoo. Kakashi dashed forward towards the white rabbit once his Susanoo was finished. He summoned a sword and sliced through Kaguya. Looking back, he saw that it only put a minor scratch on the body. Once he turned around, he saw Kaguya already blasted projectiles towards him. With no time to dodge or block all of them, Kakashi withstood the bullets. He looked at his Susanoo and saw there were holes, but were being covered up. It seemed as though his Susanoo was regenerating itself. Regaining himself, he started to channel chakra into his right hand and one could see that he was preparing his infamous move. As lightning started crackling, Kakashi dashed towards the rabbit. Berkiri. Kakashi pierced the rabbit. Kaguya felt her chakra dispersing. She was losing her form. As bits and pieces flew into the air, she slowly returned to her regular body. Kakashi looked down to see that the pink trash can Sakura was healing Sasuke and Naruto and flew towards them. Breathing heavy, Kakashi told the group, I managed to break her transformation. If we are ending it, we gotta end it now. You boys should have enough energy now to end this. Naruto, Sasuke. Get ready. Don't forget about me. With the four of us, we can end it here. Said the pink trash can. Right, then Sakura, I will throw you into the air and you will land a hit going down on her. I will set her up and force her to come to me. While I'm doing this, Naruto you come for the right, Sasuke you come from the left. From what I gathered, the yin and yang symbol on your palms will be used to seal her, explained Kakashi. Team 7, go. As Naruto dashed to the right standing on one of the truth-seeking orbs, he was arsing his path so that he could do the most damage coming in. Sasuke was doing the same on the left with the help of one of Naruto's orb. Kakashi threw Sakura into the air and taunted Kaguya to come to him. As Kaguya came, Kakashi prepared Rakiri. As Kaguya flew, everyone hit her with their signature moves. Rasengan. Chidori. Cha. Rakiri. All the hits connected, demobilizing Kaguya. Naruto shoved his palm with the yang symbol into Kaguya, while Sasuke did the same with his yin. As they were getting sealed, a small white light started getting bigger. The rift became so bright it blinded Sakura and Kakashi. It sucked in both Naruto and Sasuke. Seeing only white, both Naruto and Sasuke thought they were dead. Only to wake up in a pitch-black place that they remembered where they got their powers. They were in the place where the Sage of Six Paths, Hagoromo, explained to them that they were his son's reincarnations. Sasuke woke up to see the sage again. The sage only stared at him, waiting for him to ask what was going on. "Where am I, old man? We sealed Kaguya, right? So why am I back here? Last time I was back here, I was supposedly dead," exclaimed Sasuke. Hagoromo explained that they did end up sealing and destroying Kaguya, but since they had a direct connection to Hagoromo, the White Rift took them too. Since Sasuke was Indra's reincarnation, the Rift mistaken him as Hagoromo's son and took him. "I am sorry to say this, Sasuke, but it would appear that you are dead." Sasuke looked at the old sage with wide eyes. His face held a shocked expression. "Why? This wasn't supposed to be an easy way out for me. I need to atone for my sins. I have done so many things wrong that I need to set right again. I need to say goodbye to my best friend again." Sasuke yelled with tears in his eyes. "I am happy you feel this way, Sasuke. It seems as though you have changed from the dark person you once were. I will tell you this, Sasuke, you want to atone for your sins, right? How about I give you a second chance where you can do that? You will keep abilities, powers, but will be sent to another world. The 5 nations will continue to grow, but in that world, the one where you were from, you'll be known as dead. However, don't worry, we will bless someone of your choosing to bear your child so that the Uchiha clan won't die. You're giving me a second chance. To atone for my sins. I agree, I accept. I will atone for my sins. As for my clan, I guess you can bless Sakura to have my child. Onto the matter of a new world, where would I go?" Sasuke asked. "Very well, I have blessed Sakura and told her that she will bear your child. I will present you with 3 worlds where you can choose to go. Going to these worlds, you will be young again, around 2 to 3 years old, but you will remember everything up to now. You will also have all your abilities and will be able to use chakra as well." The sage continued, "The first world is a world where Shinigamis are alive and are to protect Earth from demon monsters called Hollows. This world, you will be trained by Shinigami legend. The next world is a world where demons roam the earth at night. An organization called the Demon Slayers use swords that are able to slay these demons. If you choose this world, you will be trained by the first Demon Slayer. You will train with him in the afterlife since he is dead, but once you finish your training, you will go back into the world. The last world is where? I made up my mind, I will go to the Demon Slayer world. I use swords a lot and if it is possible, may I keep my sword?" inquired Sasuke. "Very well, I will alter your sword and let you keep it." Hagoromo summoned Sasuke's sword and imbued it with some of his powers. "This sword is most likely the strongest sword ever once you enter that world. Learn how to use it well, Sasuke. I will now send you to the world. Wait, before you do, can you give Naruto my eyes and give me regular eyes? I need to pay him back for helping me give up revenge." "Very well, however, you do not need to give up your eyes. Like I said, you will keep your powers, that means your eyes. I will just give Naruto another copy of your eyes if that is what you wish." "Yes, thank you, I am ready now," said Sasuke as he teleported to the new world. Naruto woke up in a very familiar place, the place where he would always go to talk to Kurama. "Yo Kurama, what happened? Are we dead?" asked Naruto. "I have no clue, kid, but I sense the old man," replied Kurama. Naruto looked around only to see the Sage of Six Paths floating once again. "Hey old man, am I dead? I saw a white light and then it sucked me in. I saw Sasuke get sucked in too, so where is he? I don't see him. Is he dead? If we're dead then does that?" Naruto rambled, but was stopped once the Hagoromo laughed. "Naruto, yes, you are dead. So is Sasuke, however, like Sasuke I will present you a second chance where you will get to live again and help out the world. If you accept, that is. On to the matter of the rift, since you are Asura's reincarnate, the rift mistaked you for being him and sucked you in. That is why Kakashi and Sakura did not get sucked in. When you sealed Kaguya, everything directly relating to her got sucked in as well. So yes, you are dead. I am sorry," explained the sage. "Wow, that sucks. Well then of course I accept the second chance. Will Kurama be with me or not? Will he die or be brought back to the 5 nations?" Based on this war, I will not bring back the tailed beasts. Shinobi are greedy and fixated on power, thus I will not let the great ninja war happen again. So guys, come on out. As soon as the sage finished, they were surrounded by the tailed beasts. Let me explain, Naruto, since you will be brought to this new world, the decision to follow you is up to these guys. Let me explain to you about this world though. In this world called Earthland, there are mages who use magic. These mages form together to create a guild. They take on jobs and missions to earn money. In this world there are tons of different magic. Say no more, old sage, I'll enter this world. I want to experience everything by myself, so you don't need to explain it. Said Naruto. What will happen to Kurama and the rest though? We will merge ourselves with Kurama. Father told us that you will be a small age, practically a kid again, so your body won't be able to handle all of us. So we will give up our powers to merge with Kurama, but our conscience will stay with father. So you will be the new Jinchuriki of the 10 tails. Said Matatabi. So Kurama, you will be the new 10 tails? Asked Naruto. I guess so, kid. So what do you say, let's explore this world together, said Kurama. Very well, Naruto, I will merge them into Kurama and you will become the new 10 tails Jinchuriki. Your appearance might change slightly, but you will feel that you will be more powerful. In Earthland, you will still be able to use chakra since it is another form of Etherian. After I merge Kurama, I will explain who and where you will be training. As Hagoromo finished his speech, he gathered the tailed beasts together and his horns started to light up. Naruto could see that the beasts' chakra were merging as one into Kurama and that their conscience was just a smaller chibi version of themselves. Looking back up, he saw that Kurama was no longer orange. He was now white and he now had one extra tail. Naruto saw that Kurama now had 10 tails instead of 9. Kurama looked at Naruto and said, I don't know why you're surprised, they said you would be the new 10-tailed Jinchuriki. I forgot, okay. Clap back, Naruto. Kurama noticed that Naruto's hair started to change color. Instead of it being pure yellow, it was now a more platinum gold color. Kurama noted that it was probably because he had white fur and his hair started to whiten, thus making it platinum gold. As you can see, Naruto, Kurama now has 10 tails. Now let me explain what will happen to you though. Like Sasuke, you will be teleported to this new world. You will keep your power, abilities, and the use of chakra, but you will be given the power to use magic as well. Since you will become a kid again, you will most likely be around 2 to 3 years old, however, you will retain your memories. Explained the sage, I feel like I am missing something important though. I feel like I have to give or tell you something. Never mind that, I will send you to a place called Gultana where you will learn from the residents that live there. Are you ready, Naruto? Yeah, let's do this. Naruto said as he punched his fist together. As he was being teleported, the sage remembered what he forgot. Kurama, please give these pair of eyes to Naruto and tell him that Sasuke gave it to him as a gift. It will be up to you if you reveal it or not, explained the sage of 6 paths. Okay, father, farewell, replied Kurama as he started to teleport as well. As Naruto woke up in the new world, he started to feel lighter and looked to his hands. He noticed that he was smaller. He ran to a large lake that was nearby and saw that he was around 3 years old again. He entered his mindscape to make sure Kurama was there. As he entered the sewers again, he reminded himself that he did not want Kurama to live in a sewer. Naruto closed his eyes and channeled his thoughts. As he opened his eyes, he noticed that his mindscape was now grassy and bright. He knew that Kurama would appreciate it when he woke up. Leaving his mindscape, Naruto returned to the outside world again and saw himself in the reflection of the water, but he noticed that there were small ripples moving and looked towards the center of the lake and saw that a sapphire dragon was exiting the water. Naruto saw the dragon full stand out of the water. As the dragon exited, he saw the small boy and remembered the meeting him and the other dragon gods had with the sage of 6 paths. The water dragon god assumed that this was the boy the sage was talking about and moved his head towards the boy. He noticed that the boy did not flinch or look scared. As he came face to face with the small boy, the boy did something that the dragon god did not expect. Hey dragon, I grabbed this fish off your nose, hahaha, you must have a lot of fishes in your nose, dragon. Joked Naruto. It seems that I do, tell me boy, what is your name? Name's Naruto Uzumaki and I will be the strongest mage there is in this world. I see, Naruto, it is nice to meet you. You do not seem scared of me being a dragon, so I assume that you have seen much scarier things, or you simply do not care of appearances. The sage did say that there will be a boy, so I guess that is you. Very well, climb on my back so that I can introduce you to the others. Hey Mr. Dragon sir, you never told me your name, said Naruto. My apologies, my name is Mercphobia and I am the water dragon god, one of the 5 dragon gods, replied Mercphobia. That's a long name, can I call you Merc for short? Very well, you are the first person who has addressed me as Merc. Let me explain where we are. This, Naruto, is a place where only the dragon gods reside. Gultana is a place where no one else can come to in Earthland. As I told you, I am one of the 5 dragon gods. I am taking you to the summit where you will meet the other dragon gods. If you look down you can see that this territory is mine. As I am the water dragon god, my domain is mainly water. Over there you can see that it is very earthy and nature-like, that is the wood dragon god who you will meet, explained Mercphobia. Next to that is the gold dragon god's domain, that domain has riches, minerals, anything of that sort. The gold dragon is one who examples luck and fortune. You will learn more later on. Next to that is the moon dragon god's domain where it is surrounded by rocks, mountains, and grey sand. The domain is similar to the moon I suppose. Next to that is the fire dragon god's domain. The heat in that domain is very hot and you can see that lava flows from the volcanoes. Don't fret, the volcanoes do no explode though. In the middle is the summit where all the dragon gods meet and discuss about politics and various topics. I hate politics, but Bachan taught me most of it, explained Naruto. The summit is huge, is there a place to train there Merc? We are reaching the summit very soon, but yes, the summit can be used as a training ground since it is very large to accommodate us dragons. As they landed at the summit, Naruto noted that Mercphobia was right. It was very large. As he roamed towards the middle he noticed that all 5 pedestals had a dragon on it. He saw a white dragon with golden eyes. On the pedestal it was on, Naruto saw that it had a moon-shaped symbol. He assumed that this was the moon dragon god. He looked to the right and saw a dragon with maroon and red scales. On the pedestal was a fire symbol. This was the fire dragon god. Next to the fire dragon god was the pedestal where Mercphobia landed. This was his seat at the summit as the water dragon god. Naruto saw that next to sapphire dragon was a wood-textured dragon with brown scales. Naruto assumed that this was the wood dragon god. Lastly, Naruto looked behind him and saw a golden dragon. This was the gold dragon god. The lucky dragon. It seems that he is not afraid of us. Tell me boy, what is your name? Spoke the wood dragon. It is Naruto, and I will become the strongest mage in this world. Believe it. Yelled Naruto. Ahaha, I like this boy. He has fire in his eyes, said the red dragon. Oh my, this boy is quite lively. It seems that this is the boy that the sage was talking about. Tell me Naruto, were you afraid of us upon seeing us? Asked the white dragon. No, I was not afraid of you guys. I could sense that you guys aren't evil. Plus when I was younger I saw someone way scarier. Explained Naruto. I see, then let us introduce ourselves young Naruto. I am the gold dragon god, Bearns. I am the embodiment of luck and fortune. It is nice to meet you Naruto, my name is Alderan, the wood dragon god. I reign over nature and command life, and I sense that you have been blessed by nature. That is quite fascinating. Greetings boy, I am the strongest dragon god here, my name is Thonkao, okay fine, I am not the strongest dragon god here, but my name is Ignia, and I control fire. I am sorry for his behavior Naruto, he is careless. Anyways, it is nice to meet you Naruto, I am the moon dragon god, Selene. I hold the blessing of the moon and stars. You have already met Mercphobia, the water dragon god. It is surprising that you are able to call him Merc, he is quite stuck up. Anyways, you have been brought to us so that we can teach you about the world and train you in our world. Before I explain about the schedule, do you have any questions? Where will be sleeping and what am I going to eat haha? Naruto asked as his stomach growled. Oh my, right, Naruto you will be sleeping where we will be sleeping when you are training with us. Concerning food, we will go to Earthland for food, but you will only eat human food for only 3 months. During training with us dragons, you will learn how to eat with our respected elements. Since I am the moon dragon god, you will learn how to create stars and eat them, explained Selene. It is like Selene said, with me being the water dragon god, you will learn to eat water. It is different than drinking it however, when you drink water it goes into your stomach, but eating it, you will learn how to separate the oxygen and hydrogen particles in water and send the oxygen into your lungs, while the hydrogen goes into your circular system. It sounds difficult, but it will become second nature once you learn how, explained Mercphobia. That does seem difficult, which makes me even more pumped up to learn. Shouted Naruto. Ha! It should be easy to know you will be eating when you learn my magic. That's right, fire. As the fire dragon god, you will learn how to eat fire. Not to mention, your body will become resistant to fire and you will not be able to burn. That is one perk of being a fire dragon god, explained Ignia, learning moon dragon god magic, you will have the perk to change your surrounding to appear night with your own artificial moon. There's plenty more perks with each of our magic that you will learn. My own moon wow. That does sound great. Selene you're so strong, I want to learn your magic the most. Naruto pointed out. Well Naruto, you just have to do your homework and listen to our teaching to become strong. As Mercphobia forgot, you will have the ability to breathe underwater as one perk using his magic. With Aldrin's wood dragon god magic, you will learn how to eat anything related to wood. His perk will be that you will be blessed with nature, but it seems that you already are. Lastly, with Viren's gold dragon magic, you will learn how to eat in minerals or rocks, but eating gold will boost your energy tenfold. However, he only has one perk, but it may be the strongest, explained Celine. His perk is that you will have luck in your favor. Oh, that sounds sweet, but in my world, I was extremely lucky. From the sages, they said that I was a child of prophecy, whatever that means, but that sounds cool. I can't wait to learn under you guys. Explained Naruto. Child of prophecy, so that exists in his world too. Naruto, you will become something special, thought the 5 dragons. Wait, Ms. Celine, you said you guys will enter Earthland, but how would you guys enter Earthland? Won't the people be scared of your appearance, since you guys are dragons? Asked Naruto. Do no worry, Naruto, we have the ability to turn into humans with advanced transformation magic. As Mercphobia finished his sentence, each of the dragons grew white and turned into their human transformations. Naruto saw each of them in their respective human forms. Celine was a busty woman wearing a kimono that had flower lily designs. The kimono also had a hood that was connected and it covered her head. She had long blonde hair that went down to her hips. Wearing nothing but a kimono, she also had socks with wooden sandals on, which Naruto was familiar to. At the top of her hood, there was a crescent-shaped U that resembled the moon. Naruto then saw that Mercphobia had sapphire blue hair covering his left eye going all the way down to his shoulder. He also has 2 long horns sticking out of his head and a tattoo over his right eye. Naruto saw that he wore a black blazer over a white long shirt and loose pants tucked into pirate boots. On his hands, he wore black gloves that matched his blazer. Around his neck, Naruto saw that he had a necklace with 3 shells across it. Next to Mercphobia was Viren's in his human form. He had a garb around his neck reaching to his shoulders. At the center was a diamond followed by blue lines. He has blonde hair that was stuck up. Wearing nothing but a garb, he was shirtless but had blue puffy pants that had a banner going down the center of his pants with diamonds matching his garb. God of Destruction attire from Dragon Ball Super, search up Goku God of Destruction. Next to Viren's was Ignia. He was shirtless but has a sun tattoo that is colored red on his left chest that connected to his left arm and a little on the left side of his face. He has dark orange hair that's styled upwards with 2 strands at the side. Shirtless, Ignia only has loose pants with fur lining in the middle, with an apron-like cloth over it bearing diamonds and an X design. On his right forearm, he has bandages wrapped around it and has 3 triangular dangling earrings on each of his ear and has a gold chain with a cross around his neck. Last was Aldrin. He did not resemble anything like a human, but he was no longer a dragon. He looked like a bulky tree trunk. He had a broad chest, but his shoulders went back a bit. Aldrin had a cloak behind him resembling leaves, but it was black. On his head was a crown that had a gem in the middle. It looked to be a seed. As you may have noticed, Naruto, I do know have a human equivalent form. It is because I am one with nature. Anyways, like Celine said, we will enter Earthland to get some food, but that will be it. Also, it will only be us going to Earthland. You will stay here and train. We were given specific instructions by the sage to train you until you can venture into Earthland by yourself, said Aldrin. Whoa, so you guys have human forms. That's so cool, can I become a dragon like you guys? Asked Naruto. Short answer is no, but you will learn why later on. Now Naruto, make sure you pay attention to what I am about to say. This will be the schedule for the next decade. Monday will be training with me, where you will learn about Earthland and its history. Also, you will be learning how to use Moon Dragon God magic with me, explained Celine. Our elements originate from the weekdays of the 7 luminaries. As I said before, Monday is when you learn Moon Dragon God magic. Tuesday, you will exercise and learn different fighting techniques from Ignia and also Fire Dragon God magic. Wednesday you will learn how to read and write with Mercphobia and also learn his Water Dragon God magic. Thursday you will be learning about Earthland but more of its environment with Aldrin. You will also learn Wood Dragon God magic. Lastly, Friday will be where you learn anything that was not discussed and learn Gold Dragon God magic by Viren's. Saturday and Sunday it is up to you to do whatever. How does that sound, Naruto? Asked Celine. That sounds great, Celine, I think I will train in chakra. Also Aldrin, if it's cool with you, can I train using Senjutsu with you since I draw in nature? Asked Naruto. Of course you can, Naruto, anything related to nature I welcome, replied Aldrin. Also, I need to tell you guys that inside me, I hold a tailed beast back from my world. He is my longest and best friend. His name is Kurama and he helped me so much. I think he is still sleeping though. Anyways, on Saturday and Sunday I would be practicing using Kurama's new chakra since he became the new 10 tails. I guess he is a god, hahaha, explained Naruto. Naruto, said Kurama. Kurama. You're awake, meet these dragon gods. "They're here to help us, and they're the people Old Man Sage was talking about," exclaimed Naruto. Naruto then entered his mindscape and let Kurama take over. "Name's Kurama. I live in his stomach. Nice to meet you all," said Kurama. "It is nice to meet you as well, judging by your presence, you are extremely powerful. As a matter of fact, I think he is stronger than all 5 of us combined," Selene assumed. "You jest, Selene, he is not stronger than all 5 of us combined. I guarantee you that I am able to beat him myself. If you are stronger than the 5 dragon gods, prove that you are stronger, release some energy or something," Ignia yelled. "I have nothing to prove to you guys, but I do not want us to be on bad terms." "Very well, I will release 10% of what I can do," Kurama described. He focused his energy and as it condensed he released 1/10 of it. The power was so dense the air pressure thickened around the summit. Each of the dragon god fell down to the knees struggling to get up. As they were about to fall down even more, they stood up, sensing that Kurama stopped releasing his power. "What power? How is this possible? That would mean he is the strongest being in Earthland. He's practically a deity," thought Ignia. "This power, it's invigorating," thought Alderan. "Does that prove that he is stronger than us, Ignia?" asked Selene. "I'm sorry for doubting your strength," Ignia replied scared. After the showcase of his energy and talk with the dragons about how the training would work, Kurama thanked them for allowing Naruto to stay. He went back to the mindscape and told Naruto that he was done and would watch what Naruto would do now. Naruto returned from his mindscape and saw that the dragon gods were getting up to return to their respected domains. The only one left was Selene, the moon dragon god. He wondered why she was the last one left. He was brought from his thoughts as he saw her turn back into her dragon form. "Quit idling, Naruto, today is a Monday and the start of your training and new journey in Earthland. Hop on, I will give you a ride to my domain," Selene said. Naruto obliged and started to climb on her side to be seat where her neck was. They flew through the air for a while, but Naruto took this time to observe the scenery. It was beautiful. The land was split into 5 and had different properties in each domain. Naruto, now a 3-year-old, had been influenced from his age and acted somewhat his age. Flying through the clouds, he tried to grab it like cotton candy and eat it. Selene looked at the scene and giggled as they flew down towards the mountain. As they landed, Naruto asked Selene what they were going to first. He wondered if he was going fighter or learn her magic, but his thoughts and wishes were shut down when she brought out books and laid them on a rock-shaped table. Naruto slumped but started to pick out a book that looked the most visually appealing. It was a history book of Earthland and how it came to be. Naruto told himself that today, like all Mondays, would be a long day. After a brief lesson on how Earthland came to be, Selene told Naruto that where they were was a distorted place that only they could enter. Gultana was where they were staying and was a place made only for dragon gods. She explained that they were first 5 dragons to become overwhelmingly powerful and thus became the dragon gods. Selene told Naruto that if the 5 of them were in Earthland, it was caused disruption due to their power. Because of that, she told him that she had the power to transport between dimensions and create them. So with the help with the other dragon gods, she made Gultana. Selene told Naruto about a dragon named Bulsirian, who was the first dragon to teach a human. She told him about the war with humans and dragons and told the little boy that Bulsirian took on a young girl as an apprentice. This young girl that Bulsirian took in eventually became a queen of his kingdom, Dragnef. However, Bulsirian was killed during the Dragnef war but blessed this young girl the ability to become a dragon, but now that I think about it, it could be seen as a curse too, since humans do not like dragons, explained Selene. "Hey Selene. What was her name?" asked Naruto. "Her name is Irene Bulsirian, Naruto," replied Selene. "If this happened a long time ago, then that would mean she passed away, right?" "Nope, she's actually still alive and visits us once in a while." "But you said only dragon gods can visit Gultana. Does that mean she is a dragon god?" No Naruto, she is not a dragon god. Bulsirian was a sage dragon and could use sage essence. Sage essence was new to us, so upon us 5 hearing that, we wanted to see it for ourselves. So we granted him access to come to Gultana where we spoke to him at the summit. As time passed, we came to acknowledge him and granted him access to Gultana. So he passed access onto Irene, which would make her the 2nd sage dragon. "You're correct, Naruto. I can't wait to meet this Irene person. She sounds strong." They both continued to talk about various topics until it was getting dark, making Naruto drowsy. "Hey Selene, since you're the moon dragon god, does that mean at night you're even stronger?" asked Naruto as he slowly fell asleep. "Yes Naruto, I get significantly stronger at night. The bright moon and the stars give me energy to become stronger than I am in the day. Since I am the moon dragon god." "Oh, you're asleep already." Selene noticed that Naruto was using her wind as a blanket, so she just laid there slowly joining him in slumber as well. "Is this what it is like to have a child?" "It's not that bad, maybe it's because of you, Naruto." Celine looked up to the moon before finally falling asleep. Unbeknownst to her, way up in the sky sat a man with horns and purple eyes with rippling rings. It seems that wherever you go, Naruto, you draw people towards you. No matter what they felt and what they were, you bring out the best out of them and make them want to be around you. Hagoromo spoke to himself. I know you won't fail me, Naruto, you will be something special in this world. Finishing his thought, the sage of six paths slowly faded away, out of existence. Naruto woke up to find out that he was alone on the mountain. He found that there was a blanket covering him. As he stood up and looked around, he noticed that Celine was not around. He started stretching and folded the blanket and placed it on the table. Placing it on the table, he remembered that today was Tuesday and that he would train with Ignia. He was excited since he would start learning different fighting techniques and move his body again. Naruto's thoughts ended when he felt the wind burst behind him. When he turned around, he saw the large white dragon. Morning, Celine. Am I training with Ignia today? I can't wait, I haven't exerted my body in so long. Screamed Naruto. Yes, Naruto, today you will be training with Ignia, but since you are only 3 years old, I don't want you to work your body too hard. We can't have your body be filled with scars already, exclaimed Celine. Now hop on, I have to take you to Ignia's place so that you can start your training with him. Naruto climbed Celine's side and sat on the start of her neck. The whole flight there they kept complaining on him wanting to exert his body. They bickered back and forth until they reached Ignia's place. Celine told him not to do overwork himself and got the last word before Naruto could butt back and flew back to her domain. Naruto walked towards Ignia and greeted him good morning. He asked Ignia if they were going to fight and do some sort of crazy training, only for Ignia to deny. Ignia told Naruto that although they will be doing that, he is very young and had to learn the basic of each fight style. Ignia explained that there are many fight techniques he knows but wishes to see which one would benefit Naruto, so he transformed into his human form and asked Naruto for a spar, to which Naruto agreed happily. Ignia watched as Naruto got into his stance, his right leg was behind and his left was in front. It looked like he was using his right leg as support and to drive himself forward. His left feet was pointed towards Ignia. His right arm was cocked to his right hip with his hand closed in a fist with his backhand pointing to the ground. His left hand was in front of his body with his palm half open. However, what surprised him was that he was completely open. Ignia could move and attack wherever, but his body didn't. He then noticed that although Naruto was open, he was actually in a perfect stance. His appearance looked as if he was unguarded, but on closer inspection, his stance was perfect. That is quite the stance there, Naruto. At first I thought you were completely open and wondered why you left yourself open, but after review, I noticed that your form is perfect. If I were to go in for a jab on your left, you would have blocked it with your left hand and countered with your right, said Ignia. Whoa, you're good, Ignia. You found me out. I learned how to fight from my old senseis back in my world. Enough of this talking, I haven't fought in so long. Naruto said as it dashed towards Ignia. As Naruto went in for a hook, it was blocked by Ignia's right arm. Ignia countered and went in for a left hook, only for Naruto to block it. They kept at this only for each other to block. In Taijutsu, Naruto knew that Ignia was strong, given that they were on par with each other. Then again, Naruto was 3 years old. They backed away from each other and gave each other room. Ignia now saw that Naruto was changing his stance. His right arm was now cocked behind his back and his left was up, hand taunting him to come. Ignia was amazed that Naruto knew many stances and fighting forms. During this fight, Ignia could not determine Naruto's fighting style. Naruto's new stance as he was readying was taught to him by Rock Lee, a taijutsu specialist back in his world. This style was very efficient as it used his whole body. Naruto then readied himself for Ignia. The fire dragon god charged to Naruto with both his fist cocked back. Ignia used the momentum of his speed to twist his body so that when he punched, it would give even more power, however his punch never hit. It was stopped by Naruto's palm. He then went in for a jab with his open hand, but it was kicked away from Naruto's leg. Naruto used Ignia's hand that he blocked to push himself up to kick away his other punch. Stagnant in the air, Naruto went in for a kick with his left foot but was blocked by Ignia's left forearm. If I didn't feel the air shift around his left foot, my head would have been struck. This kid is good, Ignia thought. Hey Ignia, you're keeping up with me and I'm only 3, hahaha. Naruto pointed out, by the time I master everything, I'll be the strongest mage there is. Believe it. I don't doubt you, Naruto. I already learned your style, so the fight is going to end. It will be a draw since no one won. Now for your style, it's completely unpredictable. I wasn't attacking at all. I was just defending against your attack. Thankfully your speed is slow since you are a kid after all, but I guess I will teach you various fight techniques I know so you can add it to your knowledge, replied Ignia. After couple hours of learning different fighting styles, Naruto and Ignia were laying on a rock. With the heat from the lava flowing around them, Naruto was the only one sweating. Being introduced to different fighting styles made Naruto tired. Since he was 3 years old, his body was small and couldn't keep up with his training. "Hey Ignia, what else are we going to do today?" asked Naruto. "We're not going to be doing any more training. Your body needs time to heal and rest from all the exercise we did," replied Ignia. "Well, your body is healing, though we can get a head start with Fire Dragon God magic." "Well, more like you sit and learn while you watch me." Fire Dragon God's Fist. That is a basic spell where fire is generated to your fist. My magic is similar to Fire Dragon Slayer magic, so our basic spells are somewhat similar. The exception is the high-level spells. You will learn how to use Fire Dragon God's Fist after you learn how to breathe and eat fire, Ignia explained. Naruto watched as Ignia described and showed him Fire Dragon God magic. He was amazed that the fire developed on Ignia's hand. While watching Ignia, Naruto started to swing his feet back and forth while his eyes were sparkling watching Ignia's magic. This one is one of the most powerful spells. Although it is hard, it will become easy to learn once you learn how to breathe fire and eat it, Ignia mentioned. Naruto watched as Ignia took a deep breath of air. Air streams started to flying in his mouth as his stomach started growing. Fire Dragon God's Roar. The burning stream of fire started arc into the sky. The intense heat started to melt the ground, creating a linear crater. The fire was so bright, the blue sky started to turn purple from the waves of heat. It stayed like that until Ignia closed his mouth. Looking at the aftermath, Naruto knew the spell was strong, given the melted rocks and the steam it created from melting the hydrogen particles in the air. That was so cool. The fire was so hot that it made my sweat turn into steam. Shouted Naruto, so if I learn how to eat fire, I can do it as well. Well, learning to eat fire and breathe it will most certainly help you, but those are only components that are put together, Ignia explained, but was cut off by Naruto. Oh, that reminds me of my old sensei's training. I was trying to learn my dad's famous move and had to practice 3 components. If I could do that, then I can do this. Just you wait Ignia, I'm going to master the roar and master the other 4 roars too. Shouted Naruto. Ignia stared at Naruto. Something Naruto said reminded him of his brother. His brother would always tell him that he was going to become the next Fire Dragon King and master their father's magic. Flashback. Ignia and Igneel were in a practice bar against each other overlooked by their father, the Fire Dragon King at the time. The 2 young dragons were still learning the ropes of how to breathe fire. Igneel flew towards Ignia with fire in his claw. He tried to scratch Ignia but missed when Ignia flew over Igneel. The fight was now airborne. Ever since they learned how to fly from their father, they were always in the sky. Fire Dragon Claw. Shouted Igneel. Once again his attack missed. Ignia was always the faster one of the 2. Ignia dodged under Igneel and countered him, attacking his stomach. Fire Dragon Wing Attack. Ignia shouted as his wing made direct contact with Igneel's stomach, shooting Igneel higher into the sky. Igneel regained his composure and flew down towards where Ignia floated. Flying down, he opened his mouth and concentrated his fire energy into his lungs. Fire Nano was being drawn from his body into his lungs where it was condensing. Outside his mouth, stream of the air were entering it. As he soared down to Ignia, he released the fire that was being condensed in his lungs. Except, it was not a dragon's roar. The fire was surrounding his face and nose because of how fast he was diving. The fire then covered his head as he dove towards Ignia. Fire Dragon's Searing Spear. Yelled Igneel. From below, Ignia saw and felt Igneel drawing in energy to make an attack. As Igneel came closer, Ignia felt that he would go for a combat range attack. Trying to cut the distance and not get hit, Ignia started to build up energy in his body. He focused and let energy into his lungs. Take a deep breath, Ignia opened his mouth and let a loud yell. Fire Dragon's Roar. As the 2 attacks came into contact with each other, a white bright light flashed. Scene change. Ignia and Igneel were young mature dragons now. They were now larger and stronger than they once were. Still under their father's training, they were now more agile. Once again, they were in a spar after a long training session with their old man. I'm going to win this fight Ignia. Every fight we have faced always ended up in a draw, but today is the day when I will win and become the successor to father. I will become the next Fire Dragon King. Exclaimed Igneel. Father never told us who was born first, so I guess we came out of mother at the same time. Sure you can become the king, but I am going to become a god. I will become the first ever Fire Dragon God. Shouted Ignia. Birds started to fly out of the tree and away from them. As soon as they couldn't hear the birds, they charged at each other. Igneel had fire in his claws, while Ignia had his wings blazed. They charged at each other and traded multiple blows. After throwing Ignia into the sky, Igneel rushed to Ignia. Once again, they were in the air. They could never leave it. As they charged towards each other, Ignia managed to cut Igneel's eyelid, while Igneel clawed Ignia's left chest. Feeling burnt out after they traded blows, they flew down. Ignia. Ignia kept standing still after they landed and gave no response. Ignia? No response. Hey Ignia, I'm hungry. Flashback end. I'm hungry, shouted Naruto, bringing Ignia out of his daydream of the flashback. Ignia was brought back to the present-day world and looked back at Naruto. He laughed to himself. Naruto reminded him of his twin brother. Well, Naruto, I guess it's your lucky day to learn one of the 3 components of the roar. I'm going to teach you how to eat fire, so you better learn how to unless you want to starve to death, hahaha, replied Ignia. I'm stoked. I get to learn the first step. Let's get started. How do I eat fire? Do I just put it in my mouth? Questioned Naruto. Ignia laughed at Naruto's antics and explained to him that he would have to imagine that fire was food and to draw out to life in fire and into his body so that it would replenish. Ignia explained that fire was a living thing, so it had energy. Naruto would have to draw out the energy and place it in his system. Eating it would make it in his system. As the sun started falling and the moon started rising, Naruto now was able to eat fire. He would still have to work on it, but so far, he could eat it. After all the hard work from just one day, Naruto had been able to eat fire. Naruto mentally checked a box in his head and knew that his next step would to master and perfect the art of fire cuisine. Hey Ignia, could you tell me a story or something before I go to sleep? I was with Celine yesterday and as she explained to me about questions I had, I fell asleep. So could you tell me something before I go to sleep? Asked Naruto. Ignia, now transformed into a dragon, drew Naruto closer to him and placed him in between his arm and head where he laid. Sure thing, Naruto. Remember when I was dazing today? It was because you reminded me of my twin brother Igniel. He was much like you, free-spirited and had fire in your eyes. His goal was to become the Fire Dragon King, and he actually made it. We both did. When we were younger, he wanted to become the next Dragon King to become our father's successor. I wanted to become something more though. Something no one dreamt of before me and it worked out, I became the Fire Dragon God, Ignia described. Whoa, so you mean to tell me that your brother is the Fire Dragon King? Does that mean he has a kingdom? Celine told me some girl named Irene became a queen and she ruled over a kingdom called Dragnef, replied Naruto. No Naruto, Igniel does not have a kingdom. However, I do have a hunch that he might have taken a kid under his wing, like us dragon gods have with you. Since he is a dragon king, he will very well need a successor, but since there are no more fire dragons, he would have to raise a human and teach them fire dragon slayer magic. Fire dragon slayer magic? What's the difference between dragon slayer magic and dragon god magic? Dragon slayer magic is said to be lost magic created to slay dragons. Dragons with elements could take in a human and teach them their magic. Dragon god magic is magic directly connected to us dragon gods. No one can use it except you and us. You are the first human to learn dragon god magic and you will become a dragon god as well. Like being a dragon slayer, when someone learns dragon slayer magic, you will become a dragon god since you are learn our magic. Whoa, that's super cool. I'll become a dragon god. But why would the other dragons teach them magic to slay their kind, Ignia? I don't really know what it is called slayer, but I guess it is just named that way. I'm not too familiar with it myself, but Irene is. She was taught by Bulsirian after all. Maybe you could ask her when she visits again. Do you know when she is going to visit? She usually visits on July, since that is when the Dragon King festival happens in the human world. Hey, July is not too far off, right? If what Celine taught me about calendars, that would mean that today is Tuesday of the 4th month, meaning this month is April, am I right? Yes, you are right, Naruto. She might take a liking to you, you know. If you got Celine to soften up and like you, then you most definitely will get Irene to like you. Celine soften up? What do you mean? Was she mean before? Celine was quiet and kept to herself before the sage announced that you would show up. She was somewhat stuck up knowing that she was stronger than us because she had the ability to change her surrounding into the night, which would make her infinitely stronger since she is stronger at night. But when the sage announced that you were coming, she got curious. After the sage showed us what you could do, she started to become less stuck up. Hell, she even talks to us now, and that's all thanks to you, Naruto. You're just gassing me up, Ignia. I bet she was already nice before, but none of you guys ever wanted to check up on her. She was probably lonely like I once was. Yawn, it's getting pretty dark out now, and I can't wait to train with Merc tomorrow, Naruto said as he snuggled closer to Ignia. She was lonely. I never though of that, thought Ignia as he drifted to sleep as well. The day was a Wednesday. Naruto was going to learn how to read and write with Mercphobia. Back in the elemental nations, he hated writing. He never paid attention in class and always failed his test. Naruto is a hands-on learner. He never liked sitting in one place and read. Growing up and going on the training trip with Jiraiya made him smarter. Naruto thought that he would just do what he did in the training trip with his old master with Mercphobia. Opening his eyes, he saw that Ignia was still asleep. Not wanting to wake him up, Naruto got out of his grasp and jumped down from his arm. It was still early before he would go to Mercphobia. So he started to train before Ignia woke up. Since he didn't have a partner and didn't want to train by himself, he entered his mindscape to see if Kurama was still asleep. "You woke up early, kid," Kurama spoke. "Hey Kurama, I woke up kinda early and wanted to train before I head to Merc's place. Want to spar?" asked Naruto. "I could stretch a little, but I am not going to hold back, Naruto. I still need to get used to this new 10 tails chakra," Kurama said as he got into fighting stance. "I wouldn't expect nothing from my partner," Naruto replied as he started drawing the new 10 tails chakra. White chakra-like flames enveloped his body. He was now in the newly 10 tails chakra mode. Before, when he used this mode, it was the 9 tails chakra mode and was orange, but now it was white. "Ready, Kurama? Let's go." Naruto charged towards Kurama but was punched back by his large fist. Kurama then charged up a tailed beast bomb and blasted it at Naruto as he was recovering. Seeing this, 4 chakra arms came out from the back of Naruto's cloak and blocked the black projectile. Forcing it and pushing it smaller, Naruto then infused his chakra into and held it in his palm. "Tailed beast Rasengan," Naruto shouted as he cocked his hand back and dashed towards Kurama. Landing it at Kurama's stomach made the fox move back slightly. Naruto then looked up and saw that Kurama was smiling. "Being the new 10 tails has its perks, kid," Kurama said as he absorbed the tailed beast Rasengan. "A unique perk that it gave me is that I can absorb chakra." Kurama used 4 of his tails and grabbed Naruto's arms and legs and held him stationary in the air. As Naruto was stuck there, Kurama brought his hand up to him and flicked his head, making Naruto fly all the way back. Naruto immediately recovered and blasted back towards Kurama. In his hand was a large Rasengan, but it never hit because Kurama simply punched Naruto. As Kurama expected, Naruto puffed in clouds and acting like a smokescreen, 3 more Narutos came out. The one on the right had a red Rasen Shuriken, the one on the right had a blue Rasen Shuriken with sparks covering it, while the last one behind the two held a regular one. Fire style. Rasen Shuriken. Lightning style. Rasen Shuriken. Wind style. Rasen Shuriken. They all threw their shurikens at Kurama, but Naruto noticed that a tailed beast bomb was heading his way. Both Kurama and Naruto were hit with each other's attack. Naruto was blasted back from Kurama's attack, and although the fox was hit, he had no scratches on him. Heading up without any scratches or damages, Naruto smiled and said, "I guess the new 10 tails chakra benefit us greatly." Agreed. Before they engaged again, their fight was brought to a halt when they sensed that danger was heading towards Naruto in the real world. Opening his eyes again, he saw a beam of fire heading towards him. Quickly, he dodged out the way and looked back to see that the cliff he used as backrest was now melted and had a shape of circle in it. Turning back to where the fire came from, he saw the maroon dragon staring there with a smirk. "I felt a massive energy spike coming from you and I assumed that you and Kurama were fighting. That started an hour ago. It's time I bring you to Mercphobia, Naruto," Ignia explained. "Oh, I hate reading and writing. I was never good at it back in my world," Naruto pouted. "By the way, Ignia, Selene explained to me that Irene was taught by Bulsirian but died a long time ago and she is still alive to this day since she became a dragon. Would that mean you guys have lived in Gultana ever since? If you're calling us old, Naruto, you should just say it, but I suppose you two make a point. Yes, we have been living since way before the first Dragon King festival. The power of the 5 dragon gods was too hard to handle in the human world. Our being there would destroy Earthland, we created Gultana," Ignia explained. "Yeah, I remember Selene telling me that, but that would mean you guys are hundreds of years old. I guess we're old, but age doesn't concern us since we are immortal. One of the perks of becoming a dragon god, haha," joked Ignia. Naruto accepted his answer and started to climb on Ignia. He sat on his neck like he did with Selene. Soaring through the sky and looking at the view would never get old for Naruto. From afar, he could see Selene in her domain resting on her mountain. Naruto gazed at her for a minute and then saw that next to her domain was Virn's. He saw that the gold dragon god was just waking up, judging the way the gold dust fell off him. Feeling his stomach pushed back, he noticed that they were diving down. Naruto looked in front of and saw that they were above Mercphobia's domain. Due to the speed at which they were diving, Naruto's mouth was wide open and was expanded. There was saliva coming out from the edge of his lips. Unable to blink, his eyes were wide and he felt his eyes were drying up from the air. As they finally landed, Naruto hopped off Ignia and immediately fell face first into the ground. At the speed they were crashing down, it made him feel distorted. "Never again," Ignia groaned. "Naruto, the world keeps spinning and I feel like I'm still falling." "Ahaha. Come on, Naruto, that was nothing," replied Ignia. Since his enter in this world, it was now his 3rd day living in Gultana with the 5 dragon gods. On his first day, he was introduced to all 5 dragons and was brought to the summit, a place where it looked like a coliseum. In the middle was a large area. The floor was marble and there were platinum-like lines integrated with the floor. The lines were connected to each other and in the middle was the shape of a pentagon. Facing the pentagon were 5 pedestals lining up with the sides of the pentagon. Each pedestal held a symbol below it. The symbols were a red flame, which represented fire for the fire dragon god. A yellow crescent-shaped moon to represent the moon dragon god. A tidal wave that was trapped in a circle to represent the water dragon god. A leaf for the wood dragon god and a golden 4-leaf clover for the gold dragon god. His first day of entering this world was also his first day of training and learning about this world. It was Monday when he arrived, thus he was with Celine. Flying back to her domain, Naruto was forced to read some old books about Earthland and its history. From the books, he learned that at one point there was a war that broke out between dragons and humans. He learned that this war created the Dragon King Festival, where the humans celebrate the end of the Dragon War. Asking Celine questions about the past, Naruto learned that one dragon allied themselves with a human. It was revealed that a dragon with the element of sage essence took in a girl and taught her his magic. Eventually, Naruto learned that Bulsirian died during the Dragon War and Irene became the queen of his kingdom. What surprised Naruto was that this Irene woman was still alive. Asking how that is possible, Celine revealed that she had the ability to turn into a dragon. The next day he was learning different fighting styles with the fire dragon god. After hearing that they were going to spar so that Ignia could gauge what fighting style will be best suited for him, Naruto got in his stance. The spar lasted almost the whole day and it looked like there was no winner. Ignia told Naruto that his fighting was unpredictable and that one style would not fit him, so he suggested that he would teach Naruto various fighting styles for him to have multiple he could use in his repertoire. Finishing their sparring session, Naruto wanted to learn more. Without giving up, Naruto kept asking Ignia, which annoyed the orange head. Finally accepting, Ignia demonstrated his fire dragon god's roar and blasted the intense heat projectile into the air. Amazed, Naruto asked how he could learn and master the spell. To which Ignia explained that there was 3 steps to be able to perform the spell. The first was to learn how to eat fire and gather its energy. Second was to learn to breathe fire and become comfortable with it. The last and final step was to combine both steps together and to bring it into his lungs. Hearing the steps to master the spell reminded Naruto of when he had to learn and master the steps of the Rasengan. Eventually, Naruto got hungry from the spar they had and knew that there was nothing to eat around them. Ignia was too lazy to travel to the human world to get Naruto something to eat, so he taught him how to eat fire. From what Ignia told Naruto, fire was a living thing and had energy. Naruto just had to imagine that when he is eating fire, he is absorbing the energy into his body. Sometime later, Naruto learned how to eat fire, not to mention the first step of the roar. Today, Naruto was learning how to read and write with mercphobia. Hearing this made him feel gloomy. He never liked books or writing. Remember what he did with the pervy sage, Naruto had experience in writing. He had wrote a novel of Jiraiya's Icha series and it was the most popular of them all. Naruto, however, knew that this world does not use the same writing as the elemental nations. So Naruto remembered something. Something important. Shadow clones transfer their memories back to the original once they're dispelled. The light bulb lit up in his head. He could use his favorite and most used jutsu to learn how to read and write with mercphobia while he learns water dragon god magic. Since there was only one mercphobia though, he would ask Merc to tell his shadow clones how to write and read while he trains with the original Naruto. "Hey Merc, how are you today? Any more fishes swim into your nose?" asked Naruto. "I am well Naruto, thank you, and no fishes swam in my nose," replied the sapphire dragon. "So Merc, today I learn how to read and write from you right?" "Yes Naruto, we can use half the day for you to learn how to read and write, while the other half you learn water dragon god magic. How does that sound?" "Sounds good, but I got something better." Naruto put his fingers into a plus sign and shouted, "Multi-shadow clone jutsu." As the clouds puffed up and disappeared, it revealed about 100 Narutos. "Let me explain Merc, this is my favorite jutsu where I make solid clones of myself. Whatever they learn, I learn. So I propose that 25 of them learn how to read, 25 learn how to write, and the rest will learn how to use water dragon magic with you. How does that sound?" Naruto proposed. "Interesting. Very well, I will summon books on how to read and write to the 50. That means that I will teach the rest of you water dragon god magic. Since you're going to need something to write on, I will summon tables," replied Mercphobia as he summoned tables set up in a row that looked like it belonged in a classroom. Naruto's clones started to sit behind the tables and open their books. Each one of them flipped through the pages and helped each other with their task. The first half of the bunch was learning how to write the alphabet. They started with write A multiple times so that their muscle would get used to writing, then followed throughout the alphabet. Back to the other half, Naruto and his clones were waiting for Mercphobia to finish setting up for the reading and writing half. "So what's the first step to learning Water Dragon God magic?" asked Naruto. Finishing summoning the books, the Sapphire Dragon directed his attention towards Naruto and his clones. "Well, the first step into using my magic is to go stay in the water and feel it out. The basis of this preparation is so that you become one with the water. You flow with it in a way that you will be able to use it to your imagination," explained Mercphobia. "You must learn how to control water. Learning how to do this is the basis for all spells, even the high-end spells." "Whoa, so I basically meditate in the water. This is sort of like Senjutsu training I did back in my world. I would meditate gathering in nature chakra. I guess that's why Alderan felt nature coming off me," Naruto explained. "I see. I supposed it is somewhat similar. Once you sit in the water, try to picture the flow of the water. The energy that resides in it. It is hard to explain, but once you feel it, you will know what I am talking about." Naruto acknowledged what he said and walked towards the lake. Walking to the shallow end, Naruto sat down and let the water rise to his hips. In front of him stood Mercphobia, watching Naruto as he stood in front him. Sitting still in the water, Naruto concentrated the feeling of the water touching him. But it was just that, a feeling. He couldn't sense a knitting. It was just wet. Naruto then remembered what he did when training in Senjutsu. He started to release some of his energy into the water. As he released his energy, he could feel small faint traces of nature energy. Except it wasn't nature energy. It was the energy in water. Focusing harder, he could now envision each water particle. It was then that a small faint light started to surround his body under the water. Each of his clones kept watching until they saw him, they saw the light. With that motivating them, they started to sit down in the water and meditate, following Naruto's lead. From what they gathered, they had to envision the flow of the water. This exercise was very much like learning how to apply water to your feet and walk on water. They had to make their energy exactly the same as the water. If the water flowed like a river, their energy had to match the direction, the flow, and the speed of it. If the water was still, their energy had to be in sync. The only progress so far they saw was when the original Naruto had a small faint light surrounding his lower body. They needed to sync their energy with the water. Like Mercphobia said, he had to be one with the water. "Listen guys, don't give up. Remember the training with the waterfall where we had to cut it? We applied chakra to our hands directly into the water to cut and stop the flow of water. If we do the opposite where we open our energy as a way of an extra container for water to flow, then copy it, then we can do it," Naruto shouted to his clones. "Right," replied a clone. "We got this," replied another. With all of them riled up, Mercphobia watched as Naruto was slowly beginning to get it. Back with the clones learning how to read and write, they were getting pretty far in just a day. With the help of clones, they made learning how to read and write a new language cut down from a month to a day. So far the clones had learned how to write the letters of the alphabet and were able to form sentences. They also learned how to sound out the letters and understood how to read basic words and sentences. Currently, half of them were working on writing the names of the 5 dragon gods, trying to get the correct spelling, but more like them sounding it out and trying to get it right. The other half were reading books that consisted of picture books with some words, a map of Earthland, since they wanted to know the big places such as Alvarez and Ishkar, and a novel of sorts. The clones weren't really interested in the plot of said novels. They more so wanted to just learn how words were formed. "A D-Ragon dragon flew," a clone tried to say out loud. This half got the short end of the stick. Since they were all Naruto, they hated reading. Doing this got on their nerves, so eventually the system broke and they were mentally exhausted. They were just going to take a break. Yeah, a small break. Returning to the batch of Naruto's learning Water Dragon God magic, they were still struggling. It has been hours since they started, but they were in sync with each other like they were when trying to cut the waterfall back in Konoha. The Sapphire Dragon could feel bursts of energy releasing from the group. Eyes wide with a shocked face, Mercphobia noticed that one of the clones' energy disappeared. He looked at the clone and noticed that he was still there. So one of them actually managed to become in sync with the water. "I see now," he released a wave of his energy into the water, hoping that it would replenish from the energy in the water. With it being in his body system, he adapted to its flow and did become one with it. "Amazing," the water dragon thought. "Eyes. I did it," the clone yelled as he dispersed so that the rest could figure out how. With happy faces, Naruto and his clones followed the exact step as the first clone to find out how. Mercphobia could now feel that all the clones were sensing with the water's energy. One by one, he felt the large flowing energy from the group disappear. "It seems as though you learned how to become in sync with the flow. I am surprised that it only took you a couple hours. This step would be almost impossible for any other person, as this is the hardest step to learning my magic," boasted Mercphobia. "Nice job Naruto. It seems that it is getting dark. You have overworked yourself today learning the hardest step to my magic, and on top of that, you learned how to read and write. After all that hard work, I think it's time for a break. You did well today." Naruto couldn't reply back. He was so exhausted and tired physically and mentally. All of his clones have dispersed, and all of them dispelling at once gave him a small headache. It was amazing to see that he could still summon that much at the age of 3. 100 shadow clones at the age of 3. Fatigue getting the best of him, he passed out and fell back into the water. Mercphobia saw that he passed out and picked him up and placed him on land, covering him with log of wood. It was good enough to serve as a blanket. Looking back at Naruto laying under a log made the water dragon god think, "This side is too amusing. He won't think much of it, I don't think." Laughing quietly, Mercphobia retreated back into the water where he would rest. The sun was rising above the horizon. With the water dragon sleeping down in the lake, there laid Naruto a few feet before the shore of the lake. Passing out from exhaustion from the training yesterday, Naruto was just waking up now. Before opening his eyes in the real world, Naruto was brought into his mindscape. "I thought you remembered not to dispel all your clones at once, Naruto. All the memories of the clones rushed to your head and gave you a headache. Since your body is at the age of 3, it can't take the overload. Take it easy next time, kid," the 10-tailed fox explained. "Man, I was so ready to continue training. I got the basic of learning the flow, I actually was in sync." "Gah, I hate being a kid again," groaned Naruto. "Quit stressing, kid, it actually is good that you're young again learning magic. If you were 17 again, that would have slowed down your progress and you would have stayed here till you were 24 or something." "I guess you're right, Kurama. I did get pretty far in 3 days. I learned how to read and write, learned the first step in Ignia's roar, learned the hardest step in using water dragon god magic, and learned about this new world. We really have been through a lot, Kurama. I wonder how Sasuke is doing. I remember old man Sage tell us that he entered a new world as well. Anyways, a new day awaits and I think I'm going with Alderan today. Ooh oh, I can't wait to practice ninjutsu again," exclaimed Naruto. "I'll see you later, Kurama." Naruto bid Kurama farewell before exiting his mindscape, leaving the white fox to return back to his slumber. I should probably tell him some side effects of becoming the 10 tails Jinchuriki. I guess I'll just tell him after his training. Senjutsu today, huh? I guess I could practice with him gathering nature chakra later, thought Kurama as he went back to sleep. Opening his eyes, Naruto saw that a log was covering him. Taking it off of him, Naruto noticed that he used the log as a blanket and mentally laughed at the sight. Getting up and stretching, Naruto went towards the water and channeled chakra to his feet, allowing him to walk on it. Crouching down, he dipped his hand in and sent a wave of energy into the water, hoping that it would reach Mercphobia and wake him up. Walking back to shore waiting for Mercphobia, Naruto was thinking what he was going to do today. It was Thursday, and he was going to train with Alderan, the wood dragon god. He would learn about Earthland's nature and environment. Hopefully with the knowledge, his senjutsu would become even more stronger. He wondered, since he was in a world, would he be able to differentiate what to absorb? Leaving his thoughts, Naruto felt the vibration the water caused. Staring into the middle of the lake, Naruto saw that the water was rising. Letting the water fall off him, Mercphobia rose. Spreading his wings as wide as he can, he flew towards Naruto and landed right in front of him. "Good morning, Naruto, did you like the blanket that I got for you?" the water dragon joked. "You did that? That was pretty funny, haha. Today I get to train with Alderan, right?" asked Naruto. "Today is Thursday, so yes, you will be training with Alderan. The old brute will help you with drawing and nature energy. He will also be teaching you about Earthland like Celine taught you, but will focus on the land. Remember when you read the map? He will teach you the continents and everything related to it. Make sure to pay attention because some of the information is important." "Alright, Merc. I will make sure to pay attention. I'm actually quite excited to see what I'll be learning." Naruto climbed on Mercphobia as he lowered himself for Naruto to get up. The 3-year-old sat on the bridge of his neck like he did when riding with the other dragons. Soaring through the skies again made Naruto happy. He always enjoyed the view of Gultana and how the domains were completely different. Waking up in the morning and flying through the sky for the breeze of air was always uplifting. The scenery never got old for Naruto. He liked the fact that the land was not only grass and water, it was different in each domain. Flying through the clouds, Naruto noticed some winged fish flying above the clouds. Considering they were still in Mercphobia's domain, it wasn't strange to see that there were fishes in the sky. Letting his mind take over, he tried grabbing the fishes, but they were nowhere close for him. Soon approaching to the large forest-infested domain, Naruto and Mercphobia landed down to be greeted by the large wooden dragon. He was at least twice, if not 3 times the size of Mercphobia. Of the 5, Alderan was the largest, almost looking like a moving castle with wings. Getting off of Mercphobia, Naruto dusted his pants as he landed. He then waved off to the water dragon as he was flying back to his domain. Turning his attention back to Alderan, he greeted him. "Morning Alderan. I can't wait to train with you today." Naruto shouted excitedly. "Yes Naruto, today should be farewell straightforward since you have experience with gathering nature energy," explained the wood dragon as he walked into the large forest. "So what are we going to start with first? Am I going to learn your magic, Alderan? I hope it's something exciting." "I don't want to learn about Earthland again," Naruto groaned. "I'm sorry Naruto, but Selene wants you to learn more about the world first before we teach you our magic. Mercphobia and Ignia only taught you the first step to using their magic, but you are nowhere near close to using a spell or being able to use their magic. Selene was quite strict on how she wanted you to stick to your studies first before magic, and when she's mad I don't even want to think of it," Alderan spoke. The wood dragon god continued however, "I will make an exception. If you obey and study the map of Earthland and the world, then after the first half of today, we will begin your nature training. That way, you can practice drawing in the nature energy of this world." "Ah, fine." Naruto accepted and followed Alderan as he led them further in the forest. Reaching a halt, Naruto noticed that he could barely see the sky and that the sun only produced rays of light. He looked around and noticed that the place they were at were covered by trees and sticks so tightly together that he couldn't slip through if he wanted. The ground was smooth silky grass that felt like fur. Naruto felt a large vibration through the ground and turned around him to see that roots were growing out of the ground, blocking the only way out. Now trapped in the large circular room, Naruto asked Alderan about the place. The brown dragon explained that this place will be where he will learn about the geography about the world without any distractions from the birds chirping or any other sounds. He explained that this large area they were in was completely soundproof. Naruto hated being in one spot doing work. He was a hands-on type of guy, but if this is what needs to be done to become the strongest mage in Earthland, then a couple hours of sitting still won't be an issue. As Naruto got situated, Alderan used his magic and grew a table out of the ground. What was fascinating was that the table was a miniature figure of Earthland. From Selene's teaching and his reading of the map with Mercphobia, he saw that large bodies of land were in the east, west, and north. From the map, Naruto knew that the land on the east was a continent called Ishkur. Ishkur had a smaller area of land, but was split into many different territories and scattered isles. Opposite to Ishkur was a continent called Alakatasia, which was much more larger compared to Ishkur. While it was large, it did not have that many isles. In fact, it looked as though it was just one large area of land. Lastly, in the north was a continent called Valyria. Valyria was much larger than Ishkur, but smaller than Alakatasia. It was split in several regions and had small isles on the coast. Naruto noticed that Valyria was way further away from the east and west continents. Watching the table move, he saw that the wood was imitating the movement of the ocean. He noticed that the water was way more ferocious and harsh in the north. As you can see Naruto, this table represents the geography of Earthland. I assumed you learned some of it from Selene and Mercphobia, but I will show you all of the countries that reside in these continents. Alderan was about to continue, but was cut off by Naruto's question. Hey, Alderan, I noticed that the northern continent, Valyria, was further away from the rest of the continents and that the water looked more harsher than. Why is that? Naruto inquired. Very good question Naruto. I see you noticed that the wood in the table imitated the water. The reason why it is further away from the rest is because Valyria's weather is very harsh up there. The water is violent because of the weather, and I guess it is a way to warn travelers that if they continue north, the ride would be fatal, Alderan explained pointing at the water. As he was explaining, he created a small boat and made it travel up north. Naruto could see that the boat was going in all sorts of directions until finally it hit a large rock and shattered. Valyria does not have that many residents, in fact, I think most residents there are remaining dragons of the dragon race. After the war, they wanted no more involvement with humans and chose to immigrate up north. Pointing to Ishkur, the wood dragon god continued, Ishkur, as you see, is split up in several countries. Here up north is the last remains of Dragnef. Dragnef was a country that had both humans and dragons coexisting peacefully with each other, but a war broke out because of the conflict that broke out in the western continent. In the west, dragons were considered to be the rulers of the world and humans were food. This knowledge was completely unknown to the east. Eventually, humans learned dragon slayer magic and fought back. The humans and dragons that did not partake in the war fled to the east and resided in the kingdom of Dragnef. What happened to it now? Is it still there? Asked Naruto. Yes, it is still there, however, the residents there heard about the war in the western continent and did not want another to break out, so the residents of Dragnef along with the humans immigrated north to Valyria. However, there are a small group of people that still lives in Dragnef. I thought you said Valyria only had dragons though. Also, who else lives there? Most of the citizens there are dragons, but their humans are living there as well. The queen of Dragnef still resides there. In fact you might have heard of her. Her name is Irene Bulsarian. Lady Irene lives there? That's so cool, she's a dragon and a queen. Yes, she still lives there. You can ask about her when she visits next time. Now back to Ishgir. On the west of Ishgir is the kingdom of Fiori. Fiori is the second to Dragna for the largest kingdom in Ishgir. Fiori is home to many wizard guilds and holds many large cities. East of Fiori is the land of Isvan, not much is known about it. North of Fiori, in the mountains is a small country called the Principality of Veronica. The only thing that we know about it is that it was built over the ruins of the Fire Village. Here are the countries of Seven, Bosco, and Iceberg. East of Bosco is the kingdom of Stella. Stella, also known as the Land of the Stars, is under the control of a king named Animus, who is a human and a dragon. That's it for Ishgir, those countries are the ones that are mostly known. You can find out about the other when you enter Riftland yourself and decide to travel. On to Alakatasia, the only country located in it is called the Alvarez Empire. Alvarez is said to have been founded by Zareth Dragniel, the Black Wizard. From what we heard is that he is the current emperor and has recruited multiple strong individuals to form a group called the Spriggan 12. Not much is known apart of that. The Black Wizard, his title doesn't sound friendly. Is he an evil individual? Naruto asked. I don't know what his plan is, but like wizard guilds who are legal and under the jurisdiction of a government, there are dark guilds that obey the wishes of Zareth. He's created multiple demons. So I guess he is evil. To us dragon gods, it simply doesn't matter. Alderan explained how the demons were created by the Etherian and that it gave them life, making them Aetherius demons. Aetherius demons, interesting. It is not my place to share the story, perhaps one day you will meet this Zareth person and have a chat with him. If you completely master each of our magic, you just might be the strongest being alive, Naruto. I already told you guys, I promise you guys that I will become the strongest mage in this world, believe it. Naruto shouted, anyways, are we done with the geography of Earthland? I want to start training. I guess we are done with the geography lesson. As I said before, the ones you don't know, you're just going to have to explore them yourself. Very well, let's get on with your training, hop on. Where are we going? Naruto asked as he climbed up on the brown dragon. We are going to the God Tree. The largest tree in my domain. This tree is the heart and in the center of the forest. Not to mention, at the top it has the most of overflowing nature energy. Alderan explained as the leaves above the room they were in opened and revealed the large tree. The tree was as wide as a fortress and was so tall that it reached just under the clouds. The leaves of the tree had vines extending down. In the center of the tree, there was an opening where it revealed a large spacious flat part. Growing up the tree was a mixture of dark and lime green moss. Naruto could feel the overflowing energy that the tree released. Flying to the center, Alderan landed on the flat surface. Naruto took the view in as he jumped down from the dragon. Peering in the distance, Naruto could see the summit. It was larger than the tree, but the tree was taller. Over in the distance, he could see each of the dragon god's domain. Naruto also noticed that since they were pretty high up, the air was way more thin. I assumed you noticed the thin air and its dense pressure. Since we are so high up, the pressure is more packed and the air is more strict. This altitude will help you with your nature energy gathering. Not to mention, it will lengthen your use of nature energy. Because the air is too thin, you will learn how to conserve it. This resistance training will benefit you. Once you learn how to adapt to the air up here, your use of nature energy down there will feel 100 times more powerful. Naruto listened to Alderan's explanation. He took in the information and assumed that it would be the same if he was in Sage mode. If he learned how to conserve his energy in Sage mode up here, then it will allow him to use the mode longer. So what are we going to start with Alderan? Naruto asked as he sat down. First, I suggested you to draw on nature energy. It might be the same process as your world or it might not be. I will be here in case anything happens. Once you feel like you are okay at that then we can go to learning my magic, Alderan explained. Naruto obeyed and stood up. He put his fingers together and summoned 2 clones. Already knowing what to do they sat down and started meditating. Remembering his senjutsu training back in Mount Mayaboku, he was told to learn to sit completely still. Not forgetting anything, Naruto started to draw in the nature energy surrounding him. But the overflowing nature energy around them, Naruto was concentrating on the amount. Too much nature energy would result in something fatal, too little and something else would happen. Naruto remembered that up here in the God Tree, nature energy was more potent. Drawing the energy into his system, has released his inner chakra so that the nature energy would enter his body. After about an hour or so, Naruto started to become familiar with the nature energy of this world and the potent nature energy released from the God Tree. Alderan watched as Naruto's energy matched the nature. He saw that around his eyes, a white pigmentation had formed. As Naruto opened his eyes, Alderan noticed that his iris was now silver. It appears as though you went through a transformation, Naruto. I could sense the tremendous nature energy inside you. What is this transformation, Naruto? Alderan asked as he summoned a mirror in front of Naruto. Naruto saw that instead of his orange markings around his eyes, it was white. He also noticed that his eyes were no longer like the toad's, but it was now silver. I see, since I no longer related to the toad contract, my sage mode is now different. White markings and silver eyes. This might be because I am the new 10 Tails Jinchuriki. The nature energy of this world feels more stronger than back in the elemental nations, Naruto surmised. Naruto, it seems that the energy is stronger in this world due to the ether nano in the air. That is probably why you feel stronger, Kurama told Naruto in his head. Then I would be right to say that since you are the new 10 Tails, that would explain my transformation. I believe so. You should test out how strong this form is. Naruto and Kurama finished their inner conversation and was brought back to the real world. Hearing Alderan's question, Naruto answered. This transformation would be my sage mode. Sage mode is where I use nature energy to my benefit. Back in my world, I couldn't use it as much as I would have hoped, but with what you said about this place, I think I could be in sage mode for a longer period of time training up here, Naruto explained to Alderan of his new appearance. I don't need any more training on learning to gather the energy anymore, Alderan. I'm already familiar with the process now, he continued with a serious face. I see, Alderan replied with an amused facial expression. Returning back to his childish behavior, Naruto asked to learn Wood Dragon God magic. Moving on from that, can you teach me your magic now? Naruto asked excited, with sparkles from his eyes. The day is still bright, I did promise you that, Alderan said, my magic is second hardest to master, first being Selene's. I have the ability to read minds. One of the perks of having this magic is the ability to read minds and being blessed with nature. For food, you will be able to take in a small bit of nature energy and convert it into nutrients. Whoa, that's so cool. The ability to read minds and you don't have to eat. Naruto shouted with excitement. It is, but to have the ability to read minds, you will have to completely master my magic. It is very hard, however, you must promise me that you will never read a person's mind without permission or consent. Am I clear, Naruto? Stated the large wood dragon. Of course. Who do you think I am? I respect other people's privacy. I'm glad. Very well, since you already know how to gather in nature energy, the first step should be simple. You will focus on a certain part in the ground and draw out its nature energy, like so. Alderan demonstrated as a stick started to grow through the flat surface of the god tree. Just imagine the nature energy you are gathering and think of the shape that it is making, explained the dragon. Naruto nodded and did as told. He focused at the ground in front of him and stuck his palm out. He imagined the energy going through the ground and going into his hand, taking shape of a flower sprouting in 3 different directions. With patience, Naruto concentrated harder until a green stem sprouted from the tree. It started growing and headed towards Naruto's hand, eventually stopping halfway. The green stem started to spread at the top in 3 directions and widened, looking like leaves. Good job, Naruto. That feeling you felt when it started growing, that imagination and creativity is that basis of Wood Dragon God magic. You cannot hope to make something if you do not imagine what you want it to be. With imagination, you can make anything you want, spoke the large dragon. As the day went on, it started to get darker. Naruto had now grew multiple plants from the ground and even managed to create a deformed version of himself. He got the hang of drawing energy from the ground and molding it to create something. Alderan told him that this was the first step in one part of his magic. The Wood Dragon God had explained that his magic was both caster and holder magic. Creating things out of the ground was the holder magic part and it was what Naruto was practicing today. The second half, Alderan explained, was only achievable once he learns how to perform the holder part with his creativity. During his session creating things from the magic, Naruto also trained in his sage mode. He knew that the air was thin and he had to conserve his energy. His new sage mode was infinitely stronger than his old one due to the energy in the air and because Kurama was the new 10 Tails. Man, I am tired. I made so many things today and entering sage mode made me conserve my energy. Groaned Naruto as he fell on a makeshift bench he made. You did do a lot today, Naruto, I'm proud though. Tomorrow we'll be training with Virens and it won't be easy. Keep doing what you are doing and you will become strong, I guarantee it, Alderan replied with confidence. Alderan then noticed that Naruto's breathing was slowing down. Looking at the boy, he noticed that Naruto drifted to sleep. He did do a lot today and pushed his limits. Looking around him, the dragon took in the number of plants and items that Naruto made. He saw a deformed version of Naruto, a small tree, and 9 small animals that each have different numbers of tails, with the last being a fox with 9 tails. Looking out in the distance, Alderan laid down and closed his eyes, feeling nature around him. Let's fucking go. I reached 11k words. My goal was to write 10 to 15k words and I finally get to check down my 10k goal. Next chapter 1, hope I reach something higher than 10k or something. Anyways, this second chapter took me 5 whole days. I would have gotten it out sooner, but I get distracted so easily. There you have it guys, my second chapter where Naruto trains with 4 dragons already. Next chapter will be training with Virens and something else. Also, Naruto will have an exceed. I like exceeds and dragon slayers have one except for some. Onto the reviews and questions I received. Someone asked in the reviews if Irene would be a choice for Naruto, and I don't think she will be a romantic choice for him, but she will be close to him, almost like an aunt. Celine will probably not be a choice either, since she will be a mother-sister figure to Naruto. Levi will not be a choice since she will be with Gagiel, and I don't want to mess that up. If she was with Naruto, then I would have to replace her with someone else for Gagiel, and it sets a chain reaction which I don't want to deal with. Lucy will most likely not be an option, since I don't want to replace her for someone for Natus like Gagiel and Levi, but Lucy will see Naruto as a brother figure or something. Yuvia won't be a girl for Naruto because I don't really like her, and she will be for Gray. Gana and Marahin, these 2 girls came up a lot, and I still have to think about it. I read a review that said that Kana would get along with Naruto since they have similarities, so she could be an option. Marahin could also be one since she is viewed as a demon, and Naruto could relate to her. I will have to think about these 2. The sun was appearing over the horizon. It was dusk and the sky had a fade of purple and orange. The intense beam of light came in contact with Naruto's face. It was Friday of the week and Naruto was going to train with the Gold Dragon God today. Naruto was in his mindscape sparring with Kurama again. The last time he sparred with his partner was 2 days ago and they were interrupted. Naruto had actually been awake before the sun rose. The atmosphere of the god tree had replenished his energy which made him feel energized and had woken him up. Seeing that it was still dark and that the sun didn't rise yet, he entered his mindscape and decided to train with Kurama. Naruto was in his new transformation he used during their first spar. He was in his 10 tails chakra mode. Like his 9 tails mode, instead of orange chakra, it was white. Naruto was still new to this mode and had only used it in his mindscape training with Kurama. Giant Rasengan. Naruto shouted as he shoved the giant blue chakra sphere into the fox. Unfazed, Kurama brought both of his hands together and clapped, squishing Naruto in between his palms, however it didn't make a sound as Naruto prevented it by doing the splits and using his legs to stop it. Using his hands, Naruto then gathered negative chakra and positive chakra in front of his palms. Remembering the ratio, he started forming a large dark purple sphere. Tailed Beast Bomb. Naruto created a Tailed Beast Bomb and blasted towards Kurama's face. Hitting him, Kurama was blasted back and dropped Naruto. Cheeky brat, responded the white fox who was still standing with no scratches. Naruto then smirked to Kurama and formed a hand sign. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Naruto created about 1,000 copies of himself and they each started climbing on top of one another. Kurama watched with curiosity as to what he was doing. He noticed that the clones had created 2 pillars and were connecting. As they connected, Kurama noticed that the clones were joining together to make a larger version of Naruto. Hahaha. You're unpredictable indeed. The clones had finished constructing themselves and were now a large Naruto. It was tall but nowhere near as tall as Kurama. Since there were only 1,000 clones, it was as tall as his knee. Get ready Kurama. The Narutos shouted in unison as they charged towards the fox. Kurama then cocked his fist back to punch Naruto. He thought that his punch would connect with the clones, but noticed that the clones had created space for his fist to pass through. He watched as the clones started to contract his wrist. The clones then used their makeshift hands made from themselves and held onto Kurama's wrist to stabilize themselves. Kurama could see that the mouth of the clone-constructed Naruto opened. Inside it revealed Narutos with charged Rasen shurikens. The Narutos then threw all the shurikens directly at Kurama. Clone Naruto Rasen shuriken beam. The clones shouted as the shurikens hit Kurama. Creating a large explosion, they released Kurama's wrist and jumped back. Watching Kurama get back up they saw his smirk. Enough of this shenanigan, time to destroy this bootleg robot. The 10-tailed fox shouted as he created 2 large shurikens in his hands and a tailed beast bomb above his mouth. In his left hand was a large regular Rasen shuriken, while on his left was a tailed beast bomb Rasen shuriken. He threw the shurikens at the Naruto and blasted the tailed beast bomb behind his attack. The attacks hit the large Naruto and dispelled all the clones, leaving the original Naruto. Seeing the tailed beast bomb heading towards him as the last attack, he raised his palms to prevent it from hitting him. Holding the sphere in his palm, he used his energy and directed it back to his partner. As Naruto was stopping the momentum of his first tailed beast bomb, Kurama created another one. He knew that Naruto would redirect it to him. As the redirected beast bomb came, he blasted the one he just created. Colliding with each other, it created a large explosion causing a bright light. Naruto opened his eyes and saw the bright white light from the sun. He was now in the real world. He assumed that the tailed beast bombs created a light because of the sun. Bra, Kurama? The platinum blonde asked. I would have won, but sure, replied the white fox. Naruto watched as the sun rise over the horizon. He saw the domains of the other dragon gods and the summit. Today is training with Virens, he remembered. Selene said that Virens would teach him something that he didn't already know. Naruto was glad that he would not learn how to read and write today. He couldn't take the torture. Feeling a breeze from being so high up, Naruto took in the energy that surrounded him. Thanks to the god tree, he was in tune with nature. Good morning, Naruto. I hope you slept well, a rasp voice spoke behind him. Naruto turned around and saw the wood dragon god was awake but was still laying down. You too, Alderan. The view is so nice up here. I actually woke up early thanks to the overflowing nature energy. That is obvious because of the god tree. Do you know what kind of training I'll be doing with Virens today? Sadly, I do not. Virens knows a lot of things, but we do not know what he will teach you. Before meeting us, he traveled all over the world, so he knows many things. So far, you are being taught how to read, write and the history of Earthland, so that checks off some things Virens doesn't have to teach you. Whoa, he traveled the world huh? I guess I will see what he will teach me, hope it'll be fun. The brown dragon got up and grabbed Naruto with his claw. Naruto, new to this because he would usually sit on their necks, was holding on tight to the claw. He was scared that he would slip and fall. As they flew through the air, Naruto noticed that the forest was actually larger than he thought. Around the god tree looked to be a maze, but on the outside of it, it was clear and colorful. Lots of different types of trees inhabited the forest. Naruto saw that they had crossed into Virens' domain, seeing as the forest was no longer under him. He saw very green grass under him. He noticed as he went closer to the mountain, the grass had stopped. In the mountain, he saw lots of colorful rocks and ores. Naruto then brought his attention to the tallest mountain. Inside the mountain was a hollow area where grass and flowers had formed. In the middle was a golden four-leaf clover that had flowers around it. This clover was probably an important symbol to Virens like the god tree is to Alderan. Landing, he looked back at the brown dragon and saw that he was flying away already. He waved goodbye and saw that Alderan looked back and gave him a smile. Returning his attention to where he landed, he saw the gold dragon god. He noticed that his body and shape was not the same as the other dragon gods. Virens' dragon form had the body of a snake and his arms were somewhat connected to his wings. His body was shining as it was completely golden. Hey Virens, what's up? Naruto greeted the gold dragon god. Not much Naruto, I see you noticed that I am quite different in my dragon form than the others. I have traveled the world for a very long time. This form of mine is worshipped in many religions and each have the same symbolism luck. While my original form looked like the others, I chose to manifest this one because the humans worship this version. Some humans have seen other dragons, but still chose to worship me, explained Virens. Also, I am way faster in this form. Whoa, so you chose to become different. I like it. Naruto exclaimed as he gave Virens a thumbs up. Virens then swirled around Naruto and grabbed him with his claws. He carried him to a flat surface that was directly underneath the golden clover. Naruto saw that there were two white stairs on the left and right with golden railings that connected the flat surface to the top, where the clover was. Naruto looked around the surface as he landed and noticed that the floor was white marble like the summit. Directing his attention back to the golden dragon, he saw that Virens flew into the air with wide wings and then started to swirl around Naruto, glowing a bright yellow in the process. As the light died down, Naruto opened his eyes and saw Virens in his human form. What have you learned so far in your first week from the dragon gods? Asked the blonde. Let's see. Selene introduced me to the history of Earthland. Ignia taught me some fighting styles and the first step to using his magic. Merc taught me how to read and write and how to become one with water. And Alderan taught me how to gather nature energy and create stuff from it using his magic, Naruto explained as he put a finger under his chin. Okay, I know what we can do today. As you know, I have been around the world and learned many things, so today I will teach you how to use different types of weapons, but we will mainly focus on the use of swords. We will switch up with learning my magic sometime during our training. How does that sound, Naruto? Viren suggested. Swords, that's awesome. My mom was said to be good with swords. That sounds great. Naruto replied, jumping up and down with excitement. Viren summoned an array of weapons that floated stationary in the air. The first weapon on the left from Naruto's perspective was a bow staff, next to it was an axe. The third weapon in the middle was a broadsword that was taller than Naruto. The second last weapon was a bow, and the last was a katana-style sword. Above the set of weapons, Naruto noticed more weapons above it and around him. Here are all the weapons that I am capable of teaching to you, Naruto. Choose some weapons that you wish to learn how to use. That being said, some weapons will be taught more than others. For example, if you choose a bow, I wouldn't have much lessons to teach you as I have not used that weapon much, the gold dragon god explained. You should learn how to use a bow staff, Naruto. Since you have the powers of the Sage of Six Paths, you will be able to summon his staff, Kurama suggested mentally. Seeing all these weapons made Naruto think of a certain girl back in his world that would have loved this. Stepping up to the weapons, Naruto listened to what Kurama said and touched a sword that immediately dissipated and appeared in front of Virens. Seeing this, Naruto then touched the bow staff. Naruto proceeded to tell Virens that those are the only two weapons he wished to master. The weapons in front of them now vanished into particles. Okay then Naruto, since you wish to learn how to use a sword and a bow staff, I will teach you how to use the staff first, then the sword. Since there are different swords, I will teach you all the styles I know. They range from knight swords, broadswords, to katanas, the weapons expert explained as he summoned a wooden staff that fit Naruto since he was only 3. Virens then demonstrated and explained how to use a staff properly and how to deal the most damage. To master how to use a staff is all in the footwork. If you want to strike the hardest, you need to change your stance. Using the momentum of my feet, I can strike with force, explained Virens and continued, however, you will learn how to handle a staff first. The blonde demonstrated how to use the bow and explained that footwork was key. He then showed Naruto that spins and staffs will boost its momentum to attack harder. Listening to him, Naruto brought his feet to shoulder width apart and held the staff. He then attempted to spin the bow but dropped multiple times. About an hour or two, Naruto started to get the hang of spinning it. He knew that it was all rhythm to it. But it seems that you learned that there is a rhythm to spinning it. Before you learn how to attack with it, I will teach you multiple styles to the staff, Virens demonstrated with his body as he was in sync with the rhythm of the spins. This style is from the monks. They call this airflow. As you spin the staff, you move with it. The monks named that because your body and movements move like the wind, he continued. Whoa, the monks must have been really strong for just humans, Naruto pointed out. They were pretty strong. Anyways, the next style is from a mythic figure that a group of nomads worshipped. This style, the pole, is an extension of your body. With training, you will be able to balance yourself using the pole, Virens showed as he stood on the pole. Naruto watched as Virens showed him the different styles he knew of with the staff. He also learned of the different cultures that used the styles taught to him, not to mention that Virens was worshipped as a figure or symbol of luck. It was now noon and Naruto had gotten the basics of each style. It would take him way more sessions for him to master each style, but getting the basics down was important. Wrapping up the training with the staff for the day, they moved on to swords. Naruto started with a regular sword that was used by knights in this world. He had learned that footwork could be transitioned into the other swords, and that footwork was the most important thing for most weapons. The knight sword was easy for Naruto to learn as there wasn't much to it. It was simple and he knew why knights used it as it wasn't a hard weapon to master. Next was a broadsword. Naruto was given a large sword that reminded him of Zabuza's sword back then, but with the help of Virens' magic, the sword shrunk so that it would accommodate for Naruto's size. The broadsword, or greatsword as some people would call it, was more difficult to learn. Due to the width and size, it was heavy. One would have to train their body to handle the sword. Thankfully, in Naruto's case, he was able to lift and use the sword since he trained his body multiple times over the course of the week and his attributes transferred over from the elemental nations. Not to mention, he was the container of the new 10 tails. Naruto learned that to use the greatsword, it was mainly all footwork and momentum. Because of its size, you would have to pivot your feet so that it would compensate for the weight. His first time swinging it was fine, but as he tried to make a second move, he lost his balance. Virens then showed him that his feet were too close together and his stance made him lose his balance. After widening his feet, he tried again. Releasing his first strike, he then put his right foot forward and then made a connecting attack. He listened to what Virens said and fixed his footwork. Eventually, he got the hang of using the greatsword and moved on to the next sword. The next sword he practiced with was a rapier. It held a thin blade and had a concave hilt. Naruto was told that this sword was not one where you would slice at something. To use the sword, one would have to jab at their enemies to pierce them. This sword was easy for Naruto to learn, but he claimed that this sword would not fit him and his style. The other swords that Naruto practiced with, he could use. A rapier was too small and too precise for his style, so he chose to not practice with it. Naruto was then informed by the gold dragon god that these swords were the most used type and that any other swords would fall into one of these types. The last sword was the katana. Virens had lots of knowledge of this sword and said that it was his favorite weapon to use. Naruto, who had already learned some footwork, liked this sword the most. Naruto had a wooden katana to practice with and noticed that he could create his own style with a katana. Liking this sword the most, Naruto asked Virens if he could learn everything he can about the katana. He wanted to master this weapon the most since it had reminded him of his best friend. Back in the elemental nations, Naruto remembered that Sasuke had a sword that looked like a katana. Not to mention that his mom had used a sword as well. Matter of fact, Naruto remembered lots of people that were close to him had used swords. His own sensei had used a sword at one point. Wishing to learn more on how to use a katana, Naruto begged Virens to teach him all he knows. It had been 3 to 4 hours since Naruto started learning how to use a katana. In that time Naruto was taught all about the katana. He had improved his footwork even more and had already mastered several styles. Upon hearing about breathing styles, Naruto was quick to wanting to learn it. Virens had explained that breathing styles were a form of swordsmanship used to concentrate breath patterns that increase the user's lung capacity and amount of oxygen in the blood. But these two abilities, it would enhance the user's senses and their physical abilities. Naruto had been introduced to a breathing style called total concentration breathing, where he inhales the most oxygen within a breathing pattern to sharpen his senses to their limits and boost his physical abilities. Naruto noticed that when he successfully tried this, that he felt even stronger than he did before. His senses were heightened to a whole other level. With him having Kurama in his body, on top of the total concentration breathing, he was ridiculously powerful. Understanding what to do, Naruto mentally noted that he would perfect this style on his own training time to maximize it to his full potential. However, Naruto wanted to master the first level first before moving on to the next. But the knowledge of these different styles with the katana and the breathing styles, Naruto wanted to create his own way of fighting with a katana. From learning these styles, Naruto had wanted to spar with Virens. In said spar, he was able to block Virens' attack but was unable to make a single move against him. Looking up, Virens noticed that the sun was going to set soon. He announced that they would halt Naruto's sword training and begin his magic training. I think you had trained enough with weapons for today. You spent half the day grasping the different techniques of the sword and the staff. Let's move on to learning my magic now, Naruto, the blonde had announced. Virens then used his magic to make the weapons that they were using to disappear. The weapons glowed a bright light and materialized into the air. Man, I wanted to train with the swords more, Naruto pouted with a disappointed face, but eventually brightened up, but learning magic is fun too. Virens explained that his magic was fairly straightforward and that his magic was the only one that could heal injuries. Old Dragon God magic is unique because it is able to heal injuries. Not only that, it will purify any poison or substance that is harmful to the body. While those sound like defensive properties, it does have some offensive spells bound to it as well. However, the healing aspect is the highest degree of using my magic, Virens explained to Naruto of his magic. Healing, could I heal other people? Naruto inquired upon hearing that he could help other people. Yes. It is the strongest dragon healing magic there is. It is stronger than Sky Dragon magic healing and any other healing magic. Also, you could create anything out of gold, like jewels for example. That makes me even more excited to learn it. Let's start. Before we start, I will teach you some other magic that are useful as well during our lessons. Useful magic? Is it offensive magic or something of the sorts? No, it is magic that will be handy to have. I will show you them and you will choose which one you wish to learn. Onto the main lesson, Gold Dragon God magic is, like I said, straightforward. Since you want to learn the healing part first, we will start with that. Virens then casted a spell on Naruto's leg. He then explained that he had placed poison in his leg and that Naruto must listen to what he says to purify it before it gets too deadly. He also told him not to use Kurama's power so that he learns to familiarize himself in the healing. That poison will be deadly, but it is slow. This will give you time to learn how to purify it. Naruto started aching and showed discomfort in his face. If he wanted to learn how to heal, then he had to endure the pain. Virens had explained that he envisioned warm, soothing vibrations at the point that he wishes to heal. After feeling that energy, he would have to apply it to the poison. Naruto had tried to comprehend what Virens said and did as he told, but it didn't work. The sun was now setting and the moon was rising. The poison was still lingering and had now reached his hips. Naruto cleared his mind of any stress and doubts of the healing not working and focused on purifying the toxin that was spreading. After countless attempts, Naruto started to feel a warm sensation vibrating above where the poison was. Naruto's hand was hovering over the poison and was glowing a bright yellow light. The purple marks that had covered his left leg and up to his hips were now fading away. It was getting smaller and smaller until finally, it disappeared. Naruto was no longer feeling the pain it had caused. The poison seems to have purified. You did good today, Naruto. Next time we meet, we'll go more in depth with healing spells. For now, go rest up at the clover for the night. Panting, Naruto then nodded to Virens and headed up the stairs. He walked towards the golden clover and used it as a backrest. After the effects of the slow pain that built up, he felt tired and slowly drifted to sleep. The next 2 days would be up to him to decide what to do. Waking up from his slumber, Naruto stood up and stretched watching as the sun was still rising. He started to walk down the nice white stairs to the ground surface where he trained yesterday. He saw Viren's figure sitting down facing the clover. Judging from his position, Naruto assumed that he was meditating. Finishing his meditation, Viren opened his eyes and greeted Naruto, "Good morning. Today is for you to do whatever you wish. I'll take you anywhere you want, so where do you want to go?" Thinking, Naruto had wanted to train with Kurama's new chakra and get stronger himself without magic. He also planned on practicing with his father's famous jutsu, Hiraishin, and entering his new Sage of Six Paths form. As Naruto continued to think, he would need some materials for the things he wished to do today. Coming to a conclusion, he told Viren to take him to the Moon Dragon God. Flying over to Selene's domain, Naruto had wanted to ask her if she could help him out with his chakra training. Since he did not have materials to draw seals or do Fuinjutsu, Naruto had planned to ask her to go to Earthland to get him some blank scrolls and something to draw with so that he could practice his seals. But Naruto had also wanted to be around the Moon Dragon God. Something about her made him want to be around her. Hopping off of Viren's, Naruto started walking towards Selene's quarters. Arriving in her den, he noticed that she was awake already. He saw that she was stretching her wings. "Morning, Selene. I was wondering if you could help me with my training today." "I would love to, Naruto. What do you plan on doing today?" replied the Moon Dragon God. "I was wondering if you could go to Earthland and get me some supplies, since I can't go there myself," Naruto said as he scratched his cheek. "Sure, I can do that," replied Selene as she started glowing white. Her silhouette started to become smaller, revealing her human transformation. Selene was now in her human form, wearing nothing but a kimono and heady blonde hair down to her hips. "So what do you need exactly, Naruto?" asked Selene. "Let's see, I need some empty scrolls, ink, and a brush," Naruto said, but remembered his dad's special three-pronged kunai that he used. Grabbing the only kunai he had in his pouch, he gave it to Selene. It was damaged and almost broken from its uses. "Also, could you fix that kunai and change the wrapping of it, but keep the old one since there is a seal on it, please? Oh, and while you're there, can you also get some ramen, please? I haven't had some in so long." Naruto exclaimed with desire for ramen in his eyes. Selene giggled at Naruto's childish antics. "Sure thing. Stay here for a bit, I'll be back soon, little Naru." Naruto looked confused as he heard Selene call him a new nickname. Not think too much of it, he brought this attention to Selene using her magic. She had created a rift that looked like a black hole. Naruto looked through the black hole as she walked in it. On the other end of the black hole was grass and hills. He assumed that it was Earthland. The rift slowly started closing, and Naruto was now alone. Waiting for Selene to come back, Naruto summoned some clones to alleviate some of his training. He had created shadow clones to split up his training and to gather up in pairs and groups. Each group would either have 2 to 5 clones. He instructed a pair to go over hand seals and increase the fast hand seals, he could perform jutsus faster. Eventually, if he perfected them and got to another level, he could perform jutsus with one hand or none at all. The second pair were tasked with mastering his chakra control again. Since he never actually trained to control his chakra, since there was a lot, he decided that he would take time to master it so he wouldn't waste chakra from powerful jutsus. When using the Rasengan, he would have clones help with gather the chakra. He thought that if he could do it with one hand, then he wouldn't waste time. The third pair was tasked to learn how to do the Rasengan again with one hand. Since becoming the 10-tailed Jinchuriki, he had affinities to all the elements. They were all as strong as his wind element. The fourth group had consisted of 5 shadow clones where each would train with one of the elements and perform jutsus. The next group was tasked to train in Senjutsu. Even though he started training in Senjutsu and got the hang of it with Alderan, he wanted to extend the time he could be in the mode and completely master the form. The pair then ventured to the highest point in the domain, where the air was strict. That left Naruto alone. He had planned on tapping into his new Sage of Six Paths transformation and learn how to harness and master it. Naruto had concentrated and started to synchronize with Kurama's chakra. Although he had used this mode in their spars, it was only in his mind's cap. "Ready, Kurama? Let's go." Naruto and Kurama focused on synchronizing their chakra as one. Naruto's appearance had started changing. Entering this world, Naruto had his orange and black jumpsuit on as he did when they fought Kaguya. The sage had shrunk it so that it would fit his tiny body. As he tapped in with Kurama's chakra, his jacket had glowed white and the bottom of it had stretched to his legs, stopping at his ankles. His body and the rest of his attire then followed and glowed white as well. Black lines had appeared on the tip of his shoes going up his legs, where it had connected to a large black circle. His chest had black markings but had a white line in the middle. On his undershirt, he had 6 magatomas around his collarbone. The shoulder of his coat had a black circle and had a black line going to the end of the sleeve. At the collar of the jacket, there were also magatomas, but they were black. Finally, on his face, Naruto's whiskers were now more bold and thick. His eyes were silver and instead of a pupil, it had a black slit in the middle. His hair spikes were higher and longer than usual and were white like his chakra. While in this mode, Naruto created 2 shadow clones. While in the process of creating them, Naruto had added ether nano from the surroundings and infused it with the shadow clones, making them somewhat more durable. He had ordered them to practice with this new form. Going off, they went away from Selene's quarters to make sure they didn't damage anything. They went down the mountains and found some flat land to train. That left Naruto alone at Selene's quarters. While we wait for Selene to get the scrolls so I can practice Fuinjutsu, let's spar Kurama. I'll try to create a vessel using wood dragon god magic and let the chakra encase it. This way, you're still connected to me, but you will be able to control the vessel, Naruto suggested to Kurama as he concentrated in the ground. That sounds interesting. Let's test out your theory, Naruto. Naruto had spent 5 minutes conjuring up a wooden body for Kurama to control. Finally, after some time, Naruto had finished creating the vessel. You could have made a vessel that looked like yourself or made a fox, but you chose to make it half fox and half you. This would be embarrassing if we had an audience, Kurama told Naruto of his thought. The body looked like Naruto, but had different modifications. It stood about 6 feet tall, while Naruto was only about 3 feet since he was still a child. The hands of the vessel were claws and the face donned actual whiskers. Not like Naruto's. Other than that, it looked like Naruto. Placing his hand on the vessel, Naruto channeled his chakra like he did back in the war to heal everyone. With their chakra coating it, Kurama focused on the chakra and let his conscience take control of the chakra. As Kurama entered the vessel, the wood had disappeared and now it was pure chakra. Kurama, now inside the body, looked and moved his hands and legs. His body was white since he was in the exact form Naruto was in. Although I'm still in your stomach, Naruto, it does feel nice to feel the air, Kurama said as he started to move his fingers and stretched his legs. We going all out? Going all out in the mindscape is way more different than here. If we were to go all out here, Gultana will most likely be destroyed. I suppose you're right. Let's head down the mountain and spar. I don't want to ruin Selene's home. Naruto said as they hopped down to a flat surface that was far enough from the moon dragon god's sleeping area. As they got enough distance from each other, they prepared to charge at each other. Putting pressure into the ground, Kurama destroyed and created a cracked print, making small rocks fly from the force. The both unconsciously went in for a fight into jutsu. Kurama had not been outside in the real world for quite some time. He wanted to take everything in, so he opted not to use any jutsus yet this fight. As they came in, their forearms had connected with each other, causing a shockwave and formed layers of cracks in the ground. Grabbing his left, Kurama threw Naruto through a small cliff, stopping at a wall. The cliff had broke apart and created lots of debris. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Using this to his advantage, Naruto summoned 4 shadow clones and grabbed them by the foot. He spun and hurled them at Kurama. Coming to him, Kurama kicked the first one and twisted his body and kicked the second one. Sprinting towards Naruto, he quickly formed hand signs. Blind style. Great breakthrough. Kurama shouted as he breathed a force of wind from his mouth. He cleared the debris and the dust that had formed. As the clouds cleared, Kurama saw that Naruto already in front of him. Naruto punched the fox in the face and sent him back. Kurama then got kicked back by a clone that had been created and saw 2 clones with Rasengans in hand. Jumping and doing the splits to avoid them, the clone mistakenly hit the clone behind Kurama with the Rasengan. The fox then kicked the 2 clones, dispelling them. Returning his attention back to his container, he noticed that Naruto was gone. He looked around him and sensed that he was above him. Naruto had noticed that the fox was busy dealing with his clones and jumped up to land a kick. Kicking him down to the ground on the head, he tried to jump back but was grabbed by the ankle. He noticed that in the midst of the attack, Kurama had formed a Rasengan. Rasengan. Kurama shouted as he pushed the blue sphere into Naruto's side, blasting him away. Unlike their spars in the mindscape, they were more serious now. Since they didn't use any jutsus, they had been damaged by each other from physical attacks. Naruto had learned that his new form would absorb chakra. Getting up, Naruto dusted his pants and brought his attention back to his partner. As he dashed towards the fox, he concentrated chakra in both of his palms and made 2 Rasengans. Meanwhile. Selene had entered Earthland through the rift she had made. Wearing her usual attire, she was brought to a forest outside of a town. Seeing a sign, she walked up to it. It read, Harjan Town. Reading it, Selene then followed the sign's direction. Let's see, Naruto wanted some blank scrolls, something to write with, and some ramen while I'm here, I might as well get him some new clothes and stuff, Selene thought as she followed the path. Arriving in Harjan Town, she was introduced to the smell of the sea. Harjan was home to many fishermen and had lots of ports for boats. She continued going into the center of town where there were more stores for shopping. Near the edge of the town, there were cheap clothing stores, but Celine wanted to get high quality for Naruto. Entering a plaza, she was greeted with multiple storefronts. Her first item that she needed to purchase were some blank scrolls. Walking through the plaza, she was greeted by lots of stares. It was not every day that people got to see someone that stunning. Then again, she is a goddess. Walking down an aisle, she saw a merchant store that sold old warrior-style weapons. Celine entered the store and saw many weapons up for sale. She saw some kunais and shurikens and noticed that they were weapons that Naruto used. Seeing these ninja-style weapons, she asked the owner about them. "Excuse me sir, I see that you have shurikens and kunais, perchance do you have any blank scrolls? That is a unique eye that you have, not many people would notice those weapons. Most would ask about bullets and guns since they are more modern. Back to your question, yes, I do have some blank scrolls. How many are you looking for?" replied the merchant. "All of your supplies please. Oh, and if you have some brush and ink, that would be lovely too." The old man's face was shocked that this blonde woman in a kimono had asked for his whole inventory of scrolls. Even though he had about 100 or so, he questioned what she would use it for, since not many people use it. "Of course miss. If you don't mind me asking, what are you planning to use it for?" "Not a problem sir, I'm actually getting it for someone that helped me personally." "While you're at it, add some extra ink and brushes, thank you." The old man went into the back room and went through his stock of blank scrolls. He placed each scroll in a box and grabbed an unopened box labeled ink and brought it to the front desk. "The ink and brush is in this box, and these 4 boxes contain the blank scrolls. There should be enough ink to use for all these scrolls, and there should be extra brushes in case any of them wear out. In total, that should be 30,000 jewels." Celine summoned a bag of jewels that would approximate to be 50,000 jewels. "Here is your amount, keep the change, thank you," she said as she grabbed the boxes and put them in her rifts, where it acted like a storage for her. Celine walked out the store with scrolls and inks checked off her list. All she had to do now was to fix Naruto's kunai and get him some new clothes. She looked around the plaza to see if there were any blacksmiths around. She walked to a weapons store and entered it to ask the owner. "Excuse me, would you happen to know of any blacksmiths around in town?" Celine asked the woman who owned the shop. "Unfortunately, there are no blacksmiths in the center of the town, but if you head east past a big sakura tree and follow the path, you will reach a blacksmith shop there that can help you," the woman replied. After thanking her, Celine decided to get Naruto new clothes first and then head to the blacksmith. Celine entered a mall where the roof was open to reveal the bright sun. Looking around, she saw a store that piqued her interest. On display was a black trench coat-like robe with the sleeves cut off. It was basically a mixture between a t-shirt, a kimono and a trench coat. The neck of the robe was extended and stopped at ear level. The size of the kimono looked to fit a young adult. Celine entered the store and asked a worker about the robe. "Hey miss. Do you know where I can find this kimono?" Celine asked a young lady working there. "Actually ma'am, the one on display is the last one and is quite popular despite being very expensive. Would you still want to purchase that one?" the worker asked. "Yes please, can you put it at the table while I look for more clothes?" "Sure thing." Celine walked deeper into the store and saw various style of clothes. What piqued Celine's eyes was a dark navy long-sleeve shirt with a silky material. It had looked to be a compression shirt. She grabbed it off the shelf and continued shopping. Finding a shirt, she decided to go to the pants section. She found orange boxers and got it for Naruto, since she knew his favorite color was orange. After getting underwear, she went to the pants section. Celine wanted to get pants that he would look nice in, but would also match the navy long sleeve. After a moment, unable to decide, she eventually went with black pants. She had a shirt, a kimono, and pants. She wanted Naruto to be in new clothes since his old one were dirty and had not been clean. Not to mention it was his only set of clothing. She continued walking around the store and found a kimono section. The moon dragon god needed a sash to hold the kimono hybrid that also matched the color of the shirt. A minute of searching and she found a sash that matches the shirt she had picked. All she needed to get now were new shoes. Knowing that Naruto would most likely get into fights and would travel a lot, she needed to get open sandals. If he were to wear shoes, it would irritate him in fights since his feet would get no air. Matching the pants, she had gotten high top sandals that got up to under his ankle. Although these items she bought would not fit Naruto, she would use her magic to resize them and improve them for the little boy. Reaching the front counter, she brought her items. Your total for the kimono, shirt, pants, sash, shoes, and the boxer will be 132,000 jewels. Celine, once again, summoned a pouch that looked to be more than 132,000 jewels and gave it to the lady. Grabbing her items she purchased, she exited the store and placed them in her rift. Heading east towards the blacksmith, she was sidetracked when she saw a clothing store that had earrings and necklaces. She entered the store but thought that Naruto wouldn't want earrings. Browsing, she took in the necklace examples for something she would plan to do. She then remembered that his hair was long and messy. She saw hair wraps and decided to purchase a pair of black wraps for Naruto. Finally focusing, she traveled to the blacksmith. At last, she reached the blacksmith and knocked on the door to see if they were available. "Hello, welcome to Goro's blacksmith, what can I do for you today?" spoke an old man with a long beard. "Hi there, do you do repairs here?" the blonde asked. "Yay, we can do repair. The cost will depend on the weapon though and the amount of time we spend." "That sounds lovely, I just need you to repair this kunai for me. Also, take off the wrapping on the handle, but give it to me please." "Not a problem. This should be done quickly since it is only a knife." The man took the three-pronged kunai and inspected it. "This is an interesting kunai you have, 3 separate blades, I have not seen this style before." "Ah, yes, it is quite special to me, so if you can, please repair it fully and keep its design and shape." The blacksmith nodded and slowly took the wrapping off. He noticed that it was wrapped neatly and it had no mistake. Whoever made this kunai was truly a master and showed care in their work. He gave the wrapping to Celine and started to heat the knife. He noticed that this knife had been worn out extensively and the blade was damaged. Without the wrapping, he saw lots of visible cracks. After heating it to his desired temperature he started to repair it. Restoration magic. The blacksmith called out as he brought his hands on the knife. His hands started to glow white and Celine saw that the weapon was getting shinier and the cracks were filling it. He then gave her extra wrappings for the handle. "I don't think I should wrap it since the last wrapping was perfect and you might want to re-wrap it," the blacksmith said as he continued. "Anyways, it's completely fixed. It had gone through a lot. This weapon must have been through hell for it to be that damaged. Anyways, since it was that small and barely had to be worked on, it'll be on the house," the old man said with a smile. "Nonsense, you worked on it and you will be paid," Celine said as she summoned another pouch and gave it to him. "Take this as thanks." The blacksmith looked at the pouch and watched the blonde woman walk away with wide eyes. Celine had gotten most of the things off her list. She had gotten Naruto new clothes, the scrolls, and fixed his kunai. The only thing left she had to get were cupped ramen. Walking back to the district, she headed into the direction of the food market. Passing the plaza, she noticed that the sun was setting. This event caused Celine to remember that she never told Naruto that the time in Gultana flowed slowly than Earthland. Purchasing a dozen of cupped ramen, she placed it into her rift and walked to the outskirt of the town. "I should tell little Naru about the time that flows in Gultana," Celine thought as she reached the entrance to a forest. She then created a rift with her magic to bring her back home. Sometime later. Naruto and Kurama had created many potholes in the ground and shattered many rocks and small mountains from their fight. It had been almost 2 hours since Celine left to Earthland. During their fight, they noticed that half of Celine's domain was trashed from their fight. Kurama, not wanting to clean up, retreated back into Naruto's mindscape. "What the heck, Kurama? Help me out, you lazy fox. Too tired." Undoing his transformation, Naruto started getting stressed. Since he couldn't clean up their mess alone, he created almost 3,000 shadow clones to lessen the damage and make it look like nothing happened. One of Celine's portal opened where she slept. Exiting the portal, she looked around and noticed below her cliff where she slept were lots rocks and craters in the ground. She assumed that Naruto created the damage from his training. Looking around, she noticed that Naruto had created clones. She saw them in groups and were each doing something different. What caught her attention was at the crater and where she assumed Naruto was fighting with clones, there were about 1,000 or more trying to lessen the damage. Naruto must have thought that he ruined her domain and tried to fix it. This made the moon dragon god smile. Closing her eyes, she gathered magic energy and casted a spell. Lunar moon. The bright white moon was over above where the clones were. They saw that the damages they had made were reverting back to what they were. Eventually, it became what it was before he started his spar with Kurama. Celine then gestured to Naruto to come back up to her. The clones Naruto made then dispelled. Approaching her, Naruto apologized. "Sorry Celine, I sort of went overboard in my spar with Kurama. That's why I created a bunch of clones to clean up." Haha, he scratched the back of his head. "It is fine Naruto, no worries. If there are any damages in my domain, I can revert it with my magic. Aside from that, I have returned with some gifts for you," Celine said with a smile. "I still need to infuse the clothes I bought him with my dragon scales so that it will become indestructible and resistant to magic," she thought as she summoned her miniature rifts. Reaching into them, she pulled out 4 boxes that contained the blank scrolls he had asked for. She then brought out a box that held ink and brushes for him to write with. "These 4 boxes over here are 100 blank scrolls and this box has ink and extra brushes for you to write with." Naruto's jaw was open from her surprised and smiled, "Thank you so much, Celine. This will help a lot." "That's not all, here is the kunai that is fixed like it's brand new," Celine said as he handed him the three-pronged kunai, "and this is the new wrapping for you and the old wrapping." "Thanks a bunch, Celine. I don't know how to thank you." "Don't worry about it, Naru. I'm going to head up the mountain to work on something, don't follow me though, it's a surprise." Naruto nodded as he created clones. He instructed the clones to work on Fuinjutsu while he works on his father's infamous jutsu and kunai. The clones grabbed the boxes and started to move to a wider space to work on Master Fuinjutsu. Celine had gone to the top of her domain. The highest part where she had always been to herself before Naruto had came. She would usually stay up here and watch the moon and be by herself. Now is different, she would use this alone time to make Naruto feel happy. Taking the clothes she bought out of her pocket dimension, she placed them in a row side by side, starting with the shoes on the left, followed by pants, shirt, sash, then kimono. After placing them down, she then transformed back into her dragon form. Bringing her arm in front of her, she used her other claw to grab 6 of her dragon scales. Plucking them, they instantly came back on her. Celine then placed each of her scale on the clothing and started to infuse them into the clothing. The scales had infused and went into each of the clothing she had gotten. They each glowed white and slowly spread to take form of each item. Finally infused, she used a small spell to see if it had worked. She tried to pierce the shirt but was unable to. Thus proving it had worked. She then used that last scale to infuse it with the hair wrap that she had gotten for little Naruto and performed the same process. The size of the clothing looked to be too large for Naruto, but since it was infused, it will match to his size. Now with each item infused with her scale, she'll be able to give Naruto a new look. It had been about 3 hours since she had been working on it. Each item that had to be infused took a lot of concentration and time. She had to make sure every part of the clothing was covered. Flying over to Naruto, she had noticed that he wrapped the kunai that she had fixed. It was now in the ground and Naruto was a couple distance away. Descending down, she saw Naruto vanish and reappear where the kunai had been. Transforming back into her human form, she approached Naruto. "Did you teleport, Naru?" Celine asked. "Yeah, I'm trying master my father's jutsu and make it better in my own way. Anyways, what's up, Celine, do you need something?" the platinum blonde asked. "Oh no, I don't need anything. I actually came here to give you some gifts and I also need to tell you something important that I forgot to mention. Here is a new set of clothes." Celine grabbed the new clothing that she had gotten him and gave it to him. "Whoa. These look so cool. Thanks a lot, Celine, but these look a bit too big for me." "Don't worry about the size. I infused it with my dragon scale which gives it magical properties. These clothes are indestructible and magic resistant and will fit your size once you wear it. Not to mention, if you do start growing, it will grow in size to fit you. If you want to customize anything, just let me know. Also I noticed that your hair is getting long, so I got some hair wraps for you." Naruto looked surprised but nodded and started to undress. He threw his old clothes aside. He was completely naked and wanted to put on the new clothes. "Oh my goodness, Naruto. Are you not embarrassed?" "Not really, I trust you. That robe looks cool, but do you think you can change the design?" Celine blushed as she saw Naruto completely naked as day. Seeing him having trouble putting on the clothes, she decided to help him put them on. Naruto put on the black pants with the help of Celine and saw that the pants start to shrink to fit his size. He then put on the shoes that she got him and found it comfortable. He then wore the long-sleeved navy shirt and like the pants, it started to shrink to fit him. It also showed his defined muscles underneath. Sitting down, he let Celine tie his hair with the hair wraps. He then felt his sideburns be tied together and felt his head feel cooler since his sideburns weren't all over the place. Looking into a mirror that she had summoned, he noticed that he looked like Asura. This resemblance inspired him to customize the kimono she had got. "Hey Celine, could you make the kimono white and add 6 magatomas around the collarbone on the front and 9 magatomas formed like a square at the back?" Naruto asked the moon dragon god. "White with magatomism? Oh, like the sage's robe." "Yeah. Just like that." Celine then used her magic to permanently transform the kimono. White light surrounded it and the kimono turned from black to white. Naruto saw the black magatomas start to form. 3 on the left and right had formed from the collarbone down to the middle of his chest. Putting it on, Naruto felt it shrink to match his frame. "Thanks a lot, Celine. Whoa, I feel I don't know how to explain it, but the clothes feel right." Naruto tried to describe the feeling. "That's because the clothes are infused with my scales which make it the best accessory," Celine giggled. "You look like the sage, Naru." I kinda wanted to honor him this way, and plus since I am the new 10 Tails Jinchuriki, I felt like this fit. Anyways, you said these are imperishable or something, so does that mean I can train or get into fights without it getting ruined like my old clothes over there? Naruto said as he pointed to his black and orange jumper that had been torn. Very much so. People in Earthland have killed for these kind of items and they are classified as high-quality magic items. What you have on would be classified as unachievable magic items since no one else has dragon scales that have been infused. Naruto watched as she explained the importance and rarity of his clothing. He then remembered that she said she had something important to tell him. Hey Celine, you said you have important to tell me that you forgot. Oh right, I forgot to mention that time flows differently in Gultana. You entered this world at the year X 730. If you were in Earthland and you were 10, in the year X 740, you would be 20, however, since you are in Gultana, time flows way more slowly. If you were to leave Gultana in the year X 760, you will be about 10 years old, Celine explained. I would also like to add that you will age slower Naruto. You are practically immortal since I gained another tail, and since you are the new Jinchuriki of the 10 tails, Kurama added. Naruto was confused and looked like his head was about to burst. To put in simpler terms for you little Naru, time is very slow. Since you are 3, if you were to leave Gultana when the year is X 760, you will be 10 years old. Kurama also said I age slower and I'm practically an immortal since he gained another tail. So I guess age won't matter, Naruto said nonchalantly. When you encounter people, lie about your age. Say the age you physically look like, since you are in your 3-year-old body, Kurama explained that people will be shocked to see that he is older than he looks and does not want any future problems. Okay Kurama. I guess it'd be weird for people to find out that I got sent into a new world in my 3-year-old self again. Naruto told Kurama in his mindscape. I guess it won't be a problem. I'm just going to focus on my training. So far, I got better at using my dad's jutsu, but I want to perfect it and add something to it. You think you can help me, Celine? Naruto asked the moon dragon goddess, to which she agreed. Naruto proceeded to keep practicing using Hiraishin and tried to think of what to add to it. Celine watched in the sidelines and thought of ideas to help him. They were going to be here for quite some time. The clones that Naruto had made and grouped earlier had gotten better at their assigned tasks. Naruto was able to use each element affinities efficiently and now had excellent chakra control. He could use jutsus to their highest degree without wasting unnecessary chakra. He had also completely mastered Senjutsu and could use the form for a longer time now. All in all, he was stronger now in use of chakra. Time had passed since Naruto was training with Hiraishin with Celine. He eventually started to get better at it but still had ways to go. They had conjured new ideas that he could add. Celine suggested that he could incorporate Moon Dragon God magic into it once he masters Moon Dragon God magic since he will eventually learn how to create rifts like her. Deciding to take a break after hours of practice with his father's jutsu, Naruto decided to tap into his new form. The sun was about to set and Naruto wanted to see if he could access his 6-path sage mode again. Standing still and concentrating, he focused on the feeling of the transformation. Slowly, Celine saw his hair levitated up. She felt the massive energy that Naruto was exerting. She gambled that this transformation and its power would rival that of the dragon gods. Naruto starting glowing white until it settled. Around his whole body was free-flowing chakra that imitated flames from the way they moved. Unlike his 10 tails chakra mode, the chakra this time was more sound and calm and did not flow around rapidly like it did with his 10 tails chakra mode. At the top of his head, near his forehead, 2 of his hair spikes grew and looked to be either horns or ears and were surrounded by his chakra as well. His hair, kimono and shoes were a pure glowing white. His pants and shirt had looked to be connected and turned into a bodysuit. At his stomach was a white circle and around his collarbone, the shirt had 6 white magatomas. Like his 10 tails chakra mode, his whiskers were more bold and his eyes were silver. Naruto looked at his arms and hands and noticed that his 6-path sage mode was different and correlated to Kurama being a white fox due to being the new 10 tails. Instead of the form being a golden yellow, it was now pure white. Naruto then looked behind him and noticed that there were 10 truth-seeking balls. He remembered that back in his old form, he had only 9, but knew that he gained another ball due to the 10 tails. Opening his palms, he faced it outwards and motioned a truth-seeking ball to come. As it hovered in front of his right hand, Naruto then imagined the same staff as the sage. It then transformed into a Shikujo staff, the exact replica of the sage's. At one end was a half circle that looked like the letter C, while on the other was a full circle with rings inside. Looks like this form changed a bit, Naruto said out loud. I can feel the power and energy you're exerting, Naruto. Is this your strongest transformation? Celine asked the little boy. Yeah, this form is the form I used to fight a god in my world I suppose. Hey Celine, wanna see something cool? Sure, Naru. Celine giggled at the sight of Naruto getting excited from hovering in the air thanks to the black orbs. Naruto sat in a lotus position and subconsciously brought the orbs underneath him lined in a circle, like the sage. Isn't this cool Celine? I'm like flying, haha. That looks very cool, Naruto, Celine replied. Naruto went through some jutsus and tested his new powers with his new form as the sun set. Eventually, he got tired and fell asleep on Celine. He had liked her gift that she gave him, since the only one who got him new sets of clothes was his old sensei, Jiraiya. July came around and Naruto had learned the basics of Earthland. He could finally read and write and knew just about everything of Earthland. From the countries to the inhabitants. It had been 3 months, but with the help of his shadow clones, he learned the knowledge quickly. With that out the way, the only thing he had to learn was each of their magic. It was a Sunday and Naruto was further practicing his 6-path sage mode. In the 3 months, he lengthened the time he could use the mode. However, that wasn't the only thing he did in that time frame. He mastered the Hiraishin and was now waiting to master Moon Dragon God magic to incorporate rifts into the jutsu, like Celine suggested. This would make it so that he would be able to teleport way faster than normal, and once he masters and integrates it into the jutsu, he will most likely become faster than light itself. Since rifts don't abide by the law of time, if he learns how to use it alongside Hiraishin, he could warp time. Currently at the top of the summit, Naruto was alone. He was meditating while hovering over his truth-seeking balls. Suddenly, he felt a massive energy building over top of him. Opening his eyes, he noticed a tear in the sky and a dragon coming out of it. The dragon had salmon pink scales with a white cream color underbelly. It landed in front of Naruto and slowly extended its wings in attempt to frighten the boy. From what Celine said, the only one who can access Gultana are Bulsirian, the sage dragon, and Irene. Since Bulsirian passed, I'm assuming you're Irene. Naruto speculated that the pink dragon in front of him was Irene. Irene looked at the little boy and noticed that he wasn't afraid of her. She went as far as to show a dominating appearance with her wings spread wide, but Naruto was unfazed. What sparked her interest the most was his resonating energy. She could tell this boy was very powerful for his age. It seems that you are not scared of my presence, little boy. You are exerting a lot of energy. Tell me, what is your name? The pink dragon asked. Naruto Uzumaki. Remember it because I'm going to become the strongest mage in Earthland, Naruto said with a wide-toothed smile. Naruto, it's nice to meet you, Naruto. I like you. You speak your mind and aren't ignorant like the other humans, Irene said as she transformed into her human form. She wore a black witch hat and had red hair. She had 2 front braids that had golden ornaments on each side. She had a black top that had a diamond-shaped opening, revealing her cleavage from her large breasts. It extended down to her stomach where it connected to a black apron. Around her shoulders was a cape that gone down to her ankles. Irene wore black thigh-high boots with heels that had the same design as her top. She also wore gloves that stopped a little past her elbows. Whoa, you can transform into a human like Celine and them. Lady Celine showed this boy her human form. Interesting, Irene thought. I was originally a human, but after some events, I was forced to turn into a dragon. I see. Celine did say you were blessed with the ability to turn into a dragon, but never fully explained when I asked. I guess she didn't want to tell your story, Naruto replied. It seems that you are close with Lady Celine. Tell me, Naruto, how did you get her to become comfortable around you? Lady Celine? Oh, you mean Celine. I didn't do anything. I just greeted her when I arrived here. Oh yeah, I'm not from this world. You're from a different world. That's fascinating. I suppose you're something special considering Celine likes you. Ignia and the rest said the same thing too. Naruto was cut off when he felt a large vibration in the ground behind him. Turning around he saw the white dragon standing over him. They said something about me. Care to explain, Naru? The moon dragon goddess asked. Oh hey Celine. I was just explaining to Irene that Ignia and the rest said the same thing Irene said. And what would that be, Irene? Celine asked the redhead with a smirk. Oh, Lady Celine, I was just saying how Naruto was special since he got you to become comfortable around him, since you were usually cold, Irene said as she started getting nervous. I'm just joking. I was pretty cold before, but meeting little Naru here, I don't know. I just felt warm inside being around him. You don't gotta say it like that, Celine, Naruto said as he started blushing. The 2 women started to catch up and Irene told some stories to Naruto and fully explained her situation on how she became a dragon. I learned Sage Dragon Slayer magic from Bulsirian, my mentor at the time. It was war and we both didn't like the unnecessary bloodshed. Before him, I could use enchantment magic to a high degree and that made me a queen to my people. Using my enchantments, I decided to enchant myself with Bulsirian's magic and created myself into a dragon slayer where I had the ability to slay dragons. Irene continued, Bulsirian said that in the war, we humans would lose against the dragons. So he wanted me to have the power to kill and stop the dragons. However, what we didn't know was that the power of a dragon was too much for me to handle. Due to this, a dragon seed was planted in me to withstand the overwhelming power, which gave me the ability to transform into a dragon. Wait, do I have a dragon seed? Would I turn into a dragon? Naruto looked up at Celine, whose lap he was sitting and listening to Irene. You are a different case, Naruto. You aren't learning dragon slayer magic and you aren't enchanted with our magic. Us being dragon gods is a different matter than Irene's and other dragon slayers because we are teaching you our magic as well as blessing you the ability to use it. Like dragon slayer magic, there are different generations of dragon slayers. First generation being they are taught by a dragon. Second generation is where they have a lacrima placed in them. Third is where they have a lacrima and are taught by a dragon. Fifth is where they eat other dragon slayers or a dragon. What about fourth generation? What generation would I be classed as? The platinum blonde asked. Fourth generation would be where they are created from magic. There hasn't been a case of this. As for you, I guess you don't classify as any. You aren't a dragon slayer, but you will become a dragon god, so I guess you can be a. Celine tried to finish but was cut off. Generation Alpha. Since you guys are gods, that would make me the very first generation. Celine and Irene giggled at the sight of Naruto getting excited. Sure Naru, you can be a Generation Alpha dragon god. Back to the dragon seed, you won't have one produced Naruto. This is because you are blessed by us and also the fact that Kurama's overwhelming power will destroy it if it were there. That is true. Sorry for interrupting you, Irene, you can continue, Naruto apologized. No worries, Naruto. Back to what I was saying, with the dragon seed inside me, I started to turn into a dragon. I grew wings and my teeth started to sharpen. Before the dragon seed started to grow, I was pregnant. After it planted, my pregnancy slowed and I was placed into a dungeon because I was viewed as a monster. Eventually, I felt threatened by my husband who was going to kill my baby and I turned into a dragon to protect it. It still is growing, Irene said as she rubbed her belly. Due to her dragon transformation, she explained that the child was still in her womb and still needed more time. The transformation had slowed the growth of the child in the womb. She explained that this made her lover angry at the fact that she did not give him a child in 9 months and attempted to kill her, which resulted into her transforming into a dragon to protect her baby. A day passed and Irene decided to spend the night in Gultana. She particularly wanted to spend time with Naruto. After meeting him and realizing that he did not think of her as a monster, she decided to find more about him. Originally planning to sleep with Celine, Irene offered to Naruto that he could sleep with her at the summit as they talk. The sun set and Irene turned into her dragon form so Naruto could lay against her. Irene learned that Naruto grew up with no parents and was called a monster like her due to a being that he held in his stomach. He was ostracized growing up and didn't have much friends. The night went on and Irene learned of his feats and burdens up till now. Naruto eventually fell asleep against Irene telling her his story and used her arm as a blanket to keep himself warm. You're much like me, Naruto, but you suffered more than me, Irene thought to herself as she watched him sleep. Morning came and Irene woke up to find Naruto missing. Looking around the sanction, she saw him meditating. She slowly transformed into her human form and gazed at Naruto as she took in his form. He is quite spiritual for a kid his age, Irene thought as she approached him. Good morning, Naruto. What are you doing up so early? Hey Irene. I'm just meditating to get my mind in tune with my body. With all the physical training I've done recently, I need to train my mind too, Naruto explained to the redhead. That's quite considerate of you, Naruto. Thanks, Irene. I've been meaning to ask, but do you know what you're going to name your child? Why yes, her name is going to be Urza. Doctor said she was a girl before I turned into a dragon. It's going to be a while until she's born, but when she is, can I count on you to protect her when I'm not around? Of course, you shouldn't have asked that question. Naruto said sheepishly as he scratched the back of his head. From the time Irene spent with Naruto, they got somewhat close. Irene saw herself in Naruto and wanted to see him succeed in his dream of becoming the strongest mage in Earthland. That's it, Naruto. There's nothing else for you to learn. You beat all the others without using Kurama's power to help you. We are proud of what you become, the blonde-hair goddess spoke. Time had passed since Naruto's meeting with Irene. Naruto grew and now looked like his 12-year-old self again. In Earthland years, Celine explained that it had been 33 years. He had trained for 33 years in Gultana, but since time flowed differently, he was still young. Not to mention, with Kurama's chakra, it made him almost immortal and aged slower. Throughout the 3 decades, Naruto's hair grew even longer. Kurama had said that he looked like his father, Minato, but Celine had gave him a new look and cut his hair. With the black wraps around his sideburns and his hair slightly cut, he now looked like a blonde version of Asura. Kurama suggested that due to him being directly related to Hagoromo, he inhabited some features of Asura. The clothes that Celine had gotten him when he was 3 had grew with him. Thanks to her scale she infused with them, they grew to match him. During this time, Celine and Naruto grew even closer than before. He was closer to her than the other dragon gods. Mastering his 6-path sage mode, he would fly over to her domain to sleep with her. Her sleeping quarters eventually was reorganized since Naruto would sleep there daily. For training, chakra-wise, Naruto had mastered everything he wished for. He could use Hiraishin effectively, and since he mastered Moon Dragon God magic, he added rifts into the jutsu, thanks to Celine's suggestion. With this addition, he was undoubtedly the fastest being alive. Concerning magic, he had learned and mastered Dragon Force. A form where he gains attributes of a dragon. His skin would gain scales, and his teeth would get sharper, like his uncontrolled state using Kurama's chakra. His magic would greatly increase in damage and enhances his physical abilities. Learning 5 elements of Dragon God magic, Naruto's presence would disturb Earthland if he entered. So Celine decided to teach him 2 spells that will help him. Naruto learned Dragon God's Seal and Dragon God's Release, where it would seal his magic so that every person he encounters, they won't be overwhelmed by his magic. Dragon God's Seal seals Naruto's power by 80%. However, with a 20% power unsealed, using it to its maximum potential before Dragon God's Release is equivalent to the 10 Wizard Saints, as Celine described. Dragon God's Release is a spell that undo the effects of Dragon God's Seal and lets Naruto fully unleash his magic power. With his power fully unleashed, he is stronger than Zeref and Acnologia combined, as the Dragon Gods explained. Over the period, Virens had taught Naruto some useful magic, as he promised. One of them being copy magic, where he could copy an item and duplicate it. During his years of training, Irene had visited more frequently as usual. She, like Celine, had gotten closer to Naruto and is practically seen as an aunt to him. During her visits, she taught him simple requip magic to store his items, but he explained to her that he didn't need it since Celine taught him how to use rifts to place stuff. Eventually, Naruto learns that Irene had given birth to Urza and had been attacked by demons of Zeref. Upon hearing this, Naruto wanted to go help her but was stopped by Alderan, saying that he shouldn't enter Earthland yet and that Irene was capable of handling herself. Alderan explained to Naruto that from nature, he could gather what happened. Irene was forced to become a member in a group called the Spriggan 12, who are directly under Zeref and rule Alvarez. She was promised that Urza would be safe if she joined. Leaving Dragnef, she had to leave Urza behind and chose to send her to a small village called Rosemary Village. Hearing this, Naruto decided that he would find Urza once he finishes his training. Now, year X 763, Celine and the other dragon gods are bidding farewell to Naruto, but have some stuff to give him. They all transformed into their human forms and awaited Naruto at the middle of the summit. As Naruto arrived, he was first approached by mercphobia. Although time passes slowly here, it felt ages ago since you were the little boy that stumbled upon my lake. You have shown tenacity and I truly believe you will become the strongest mage in Earthland. As my gift to you to enter Earthland, here is a necklace that I made with help from the others. Like the symbols on kimono, these magatamas are each of our scales. That gem in the middle is one that I found where you came to this world, mercphobia explained. Naruto had thought he lost the necklace Tsunade gave him, but the water dragon god found it and made it into a new necklace. In the middle was the emerald gem, and on each side were 3 scales. Looking confused, Naruto asked, "Hey Merc, aren't there only 5 dragon gods? Why is there another scale?" "That scale is Irene's. She wanted to gift you something, but was unable to come as you know, so she had this as a backup option." Naruto looked with a stunned face as he held the necklace in his hands. His fingers glided through the scales, feeling the texture. Landing on Irene's, he thought to himself, "I'll find Urza and make my promise, Irene, and then I'm going to save you." Exiting his thoughts, he saw Alderan walking up to him. Looking up, Naruto saw a white wrap that had a material that looked much like his robe. "Celine helped me turn my scales into this. She told me she had done the same thing with your kimono. This wrap is made from my scale and has magical properties. I had shaped it so that it wouldn't irritate you when you wear this. As you learned, dragon slayers have heightened senses. This helps them with combat and hunting, but it also increases the pain when said senses are disturbed," Alderan explained to the young platinum blonde. "In our human forms, when we visited Earthland from time to time, we learned that in vehicles, we would get motion sickness. Of course, we learned to bypass that since we are the dragon gods, but this wrap when worn on your head will not only help you tune in with nature more, but will also negate the motion sickness and other negative effects." Alderan stretched the fabric and started to neatly wrap it around Naruto's head. The color of the head wrap was black and had matched the hair wraps around his sideburns that Celine had gotten him. Alderan's gift was now in the same position as where he had his old ninja Hitai-8. "Whoa. This feels nice. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like I'm in a grassy field with a cool breeze. No worries or anything," Naruto described as he touched the head wrap. "That's the magic that was imbued. It's meant to soothe you and keep you at peace and intertwined with nature. The young boy listened to Alderan explain what the wrap would provide for him and thought it was cool that it connected him more with nature. After handing Naruto his gift, Alderan stepped back and let Ignia and Viren stand in front. In front of Naruto, two katana-shaped swords appeared. On the left was a katana that had a pitch-black blade with a red hilt and guard. The wrapping was black, but showed red diamonds. On the right was also a katana, except it had a white blade and a golden hilt and guard. The wrapping was white as well, but had blue diamonds. Ignia and Viren's had explained that they had also imbued the swords with their scales, which made it even stronger, and that Naruto could use his spells with the swords. Not to mention that the sword is indestructible from the scales. The two dragons explained that Naruto would be the only one who wouldn't be able to hold these swords, and if anyone else tried, it would be too hard for them to lift. These swords are your will, Naruto. If you wish for someone to use it, then they will be able to lift it. If you do not give permission, then they will not be able to use it. These are the respected cases for the swords. They are indestructible as well. The sword started to float around Naruto, circling him. The black sheath levitated to his back and attached itself to him. With no straps, the sheath was held in a 45-degree angle on his back by the magic. The white sheath did the same but was on the opposite side. The formation of sheaths formed an X. Lastly, Selene walked up to Naruto and crouched down at his level. Bringing her hand out, she summoned her rift and it dropped a small maroon satchel bag. This is my gift to you, Naruto. This bag can store unlimited things because inside it has a permanent rift. Meaning the inside of the bag is another dimension. Naruto took the bag and looked inside. He saw nothing as it was black. This is so cool, Selene. But how do I get the items out? It is just like a regular bag. Just with unlimited storage. Here, I'm going to put this rock inside. Try to take it out. Naruto reached his hand in the black rift and felt the rock. He took out the rock and was amazed. Whoa, this bag is amazing. I can put anything in here. Onto another topic at hand though, Naru. Your power is going to be very overwhelming in Earthland. Remember what I said about the seal I taught you? I'm going to activate it right now before you go off. A bright light shined as Selene held her hands around Naruto's head. Dragon God Seal. As the spell finished, the light started to die down. Around Naruto's left wrist was a black tattoo-like mark. It had a dragon going around with its mouth biting its tail. Selene explained that the tattoo would be there until he releases the spell. Once the dragon stops biting the tail, then the seal will unleash his full power. This will greatly suppress your magic power, Naru. If you find yourself in a situation where you think releasing the seal is needed, just make sure to reseal it after. Got it, Selene. I'll make sure not to cause any problems. As Selene started to create a rift to Earthland, Naruto felt a hand on his shoulder. Turning around he saw that it was Ignia. In Earthland, you might come across my brother Igniel. I heard some events that transpired and he had to go to the future. As you know, time does not flow the same here, so he most likely is alive and has a dragon slayer. If you do meet him, just mention me and greet him for me, Naruto. Yeah, of course Ignia. The rift fully opened revealing a grassy plain on the other side. Naruto looked back at the dragon gods and bid farewell to them all. Visit us sometime, Naruto. Viren said. Naruto nodded and entered the rift. Exiting it, he looked back and saw that it vanished. Looking around, he saw an abundance of valleys, covered by bright green grass. They had told him that the year was X763, but didn't tell him where he was going. I guess we're in Earthland now. It doesn't feel different than Gultana, Kurama inquired as he woke up from his nap. Yeah, you're right, Kurama. Let's explore until we find a town. Maybe people will tell us where we are. Naruto summoned a truth-seeking orb and transformed it into his staff to use it as a walking stick. Following the path in front of him, he started his journey in Earthland. What if Naruto is sealed in the moon fairy tale Sasuke bashing, and thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel and leave a like if you guys need the next part, comment down, and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.